We're live. And like that, we're back with another Unpack presented to you by the To Be Fair Show and the G Shit Podcast. I got G. He's MIA today. He is, I believe, he's a part of the Kendrick Lamar Victory Lap Tour. I believe he's performing in DC, and he went up there to watch him stump on Drake grave again. But nonetheless, we have the three horsemen here. Johnny, A Black, and we have another fire conversation, relevant conversation as well. Was the Manosphere wrong? Is there still value in getting married? Or has marriage, the modern marriage, become overrated? I think that we have a panel of a married guy, an engaged guy, a single guy. Might have a few interesting POVs that's going to call in. But it does represent an interesting spectrum of kind of the whole marriage dynamic. Johnny is he's a proud warrior class guy. A Black, he's parlaying in he's parlaying in the city with the freshly engaged. And again, I got married last year. Nonetheless, we're gonna have some really fun, interesting conversations around the concept. But before we go too much further, of course, have to allow our illustrious panel to introduce themselves. Start with Johnny. Johnny, talk to him. 1/3 of the To Be Fair Show, host of the To Be Fair Show. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? Glad to be back. It's your boy Johnny P, a host of the To Be Fair Show. Check us out. Tap into the chat. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Yeah, I'm ready for this one.
Some call him Black is Gold. Some call him A Black TV. Again, Charlotte, if the mayor of Charlotte or some. Talk to him, A Black. What's going on, brother?
Yo, what's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Gotta forgive me today. I've been off all week, so I ain't know what day it was. I just thought about it last minute.
Must be
trying
nice.
to contribute as best I can, but I'm out and about right now.
We understand. Shout out to the mobile podcast. But yeah, nonetheless, with that said, y'all know we love a good icebreaker. So a couple just before we lead into the main conversation. This weekend, we're coming up on Juneteenth. I feel like every year we get into like a back and forth conversation around Juneteenth. If it's something that we should be celebrating, is it symbolic? The history of Juneteenth, its validity. if it's something that we should embrace. We shouldn't celebrate that with corporate America. Where do y'all stand at when it comes down to Juneteenth? Are y'all celebrating Juneteenth this weekend? I believe it should fall on. Are you going to Walmart getting the Juneteenth ice cream? I don't know. What's going on, fellas? What's y'all thoughts?
Yeah, man.
Go ahead, big guy.
Oh, I was saying I like it. It's I think it's probably my new favorite holiday. I mean, I think it's still kind of new as far as us celebrating it. So we still are, I think, making it what it is and what it's gonna be every year. For me, I seen like the back and forth out of criticism kind of died down this year. I think it was a trendy for a moment to criticize it, and now kind of everybody is kind of accepting it what it is. But I think it's cool, off on Thursday, a lot of events in the city. And like I said, I think we still in the process of creating what it could be. So I wish people would just be more positive around it and, try to create something dope to celebrate blackness really and freedom at the end of the day.
Gotcha. And what do you think that it should eventually grow into? Almost like a Black 4th of July, or yeah, what's your
Yeah,
thought?
yeah, exactly. Black Fourth of July, but I think more cultural. You know, something that's more cultural and definitely kind of getting back to the roots, having things that remind us of what we was, what we were here, and everything. A time for kids, tell kids the history and stuff.
Hmm.
But just a time of remembrance, celebration, and celebrating being free, something that we kind of take for granted now because we have it every day. But it is something worth celebrating, I think, as much as possible. So for us, this is our time.
Gotcha. Johnny, talk to us.
Oh yeah, no, I think like you said, it's a celebration of blackness, but on top of that, like you say, it's freedom. People fought and died for that freedom. That's the reason it's a holiday. Uh, and I think, like you say, people should just, it's a good time to remember the history, not let it get whitewashed and not let it get forgotten or twisted. It's a really a good day of like remembrance, honor, and as Americans, I think it's just just like the Fourth of July. I think it's one of those things where like freedom's one of the fundamental, home of the brave, land of the free. This is a freedom celebration. I think that's something that I don't think it gets no more patriotic than the celebration of freedom in America. So just because this is a black one, I don't think it makes it less American. But
Mhm.
this is an American celebration of freedom.
Johnny, how are you celebrating Juneteenth?
Uh, like I say, remembrance. I ain't gonna talk too much, but yeah, we chilling, man.
Oh,
It's
damn,
a
tomorrow,
federal
damn,
holiday.
literally tomorrow is
It's the 12. It's the 12 o'clock. It's the 19th. We celebrating. We'll ring it in with the people.
damn, my day. I feel like A Black. I don't know what day it is. Um, okay, all right, yeah. Nah, I guess it is. Yeah, we actually get to bring in Juneteenth on the podcast. Hey, chat, let us know what your favorite Juneteenth celebration is. What do you like to do? What's a black way to celebrate Juneteenth? Uh, Johnny, what's your black way to celebrate Juneteenth?
Uh, Not working for the man.
Oh, you off tomorrow?
We'll see.
You're not off?
I just got off vacation, so we gotta see. But
You got to see. Oh, you got to just catch that. There you go. Catch that cough. That's all it is. Uh, hey, Black. How are you? What is your Black way of celebrating Juneteenth? Sound like you already off. You've been off all week.
Yeah, definitely gotta cut a watermelon for sure. A big fresh one. I mean, I'm gonna do that anyway, but I feel like
they watching, bro.
I mean, I don't know why watermelon gets such a bad name, but
So many better fruits.
it really saved us.
Yeah, watermelon's fire though. I think
It
that.
really is.
All
You
the
make
berries go harder than watermelon.
watermelon juice, watermelon smoothies.
Strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, like all the berries.
Nah, none of those.
Watermelon tea.
Yeah, none of those is better than watermelon, Johnny. I'm sorry.
Come on, man, they watching.
Yeah, I don't know too much of nothing that's better than watermelon for real. I mean, if
Um,
we talking about fruit,
I'd say any of the berries, bro. I think they got way more healthier as far as antioxidants.
watermelon healthier.
It's just water. It hydrates. But outside of any other nutrients, all the berries go better.
Watermelon one of the healthiest foods, and it's good for you if you're in the bedroom too.
Lord. All right, let's move this conversation
And
along.
it's a natural Viagra.
All right, fellas, let me ask y'all this. We came off of the conversation about the immigration and a lot of the protests that were going on inside California. There was a countrywide, pretty much, protest that was scheduled for the weekend. I think that they had a little bit of it here in Charlotte. They had a big one in New York,
That's
big
my
one
thing.
everywhere else, and
Yeah.
it was called the No Kings protest.
Huh?
Let me ask y'all this: was the No Kings protest a flop?
Yeah, that shit
Super
ain't
flop.
hit the AI done hit the algorithm harder than the new kings. Like there's
Oh,
a bunch of
damn.
fake videos on my timeline, way harder
Damn.
Yeah, okay.
than yeah. Like I mean, but like I don't think that was all
You're
protest because
trash.
like I don't really I get the sentiment of it, but I don't understand the timing. Like
Mhm.
why now?
Well, I
Like
think it was Trump birthday, if I'm not mistaken.
I also heard something about a military parade.
Yeah, the 250th birthday of the military, I think, was the same day as Trump birthday.
But I'm saying that military parade was a flop too. So like, I don't think nobody was really like. I mean, Trump shit was. I mean, if Trump had something, that shit flop too. Ain't nobody talking about that shit either. So I think it's like the no kings. Like I get it. Like if Trump is really a threat to democracy
Mhm.
and he's trying to get that third term, I think that's something we have to talk about in 2027. Uh,
So you're saying that America in general is getting protest fatigue. The parade flop, the No Kings flop. Is that what you giving me, Johnny?
yeah, I mean. I, I I went out there for mine and ain't nobody give a fuck. So why should I care about anybody else's?
Fair, fair, fair. Um, A Black, did you attend the No Kings protest, or was it a flop?
Yeah, definitely not. Um, yeah, I got had stuff to do, man. Can't be messing with them people. You know, like I said last show, the protests are pointless if everybody not going to participate. You know, if it's only 200 people uptown and then 2 million just living their life, like it's not really going to move nothing.
Mhm.
But I think people kind of need their performative moments, I guess. But like I said, what is it doing? People just walking in the street, yelling, screaming.
It's non-violent. That ain't gonna move the needle up. Motherfuckers just keep
Yeah, I
doing
don't.
that.
I they not gonna do no Queens protest. But I'm just saying the Kings are not thinking about them people for real.
But I mean,
They-
even the sentiment of no kings in the government, like Trump ain't even like. I don't even think he's there yet, as far as like taking over and like running. Like, there's a lot of shit that has to happen before like there's a collapse of democracy. I understand if there's like an like an intimate threat to democracy, I'm all for protesting, but it gotta be a lot different than what we seen this past weekend.
Mhm.
To like protest. But I'm with like I ain't trying to have no king, no monarch. dictator. I'm with I'm pro democracy, so I'm always for a no king protest, but the
Mhm.
timing got to be right and the alignment got to be right also too.
Gotcha. All right. So before we segue our way out of politics in general, speaking of no kings, the king of Israel, quote unquote, Netanyahu.
Uh,
Last week he dropped a bomb on him. He dropped a bomb over there on Iran. I don't think that we
Iran.
yeah, I don't think we had a chance to talk about it last week, did we? I think that it happened
Happened Friday.
yeah, it
Yeah,
happened Friday. Yeah, yeah. So in essence, he dropped the bomb on Iran, or bombed Iran, quote unquote, for
so
uh, them cultivating nuclear technology or uranium or whatever. Um, Iran, they responded. They found their way to they found the way to break through the Iron Dome, and missiles been falling both ways. We looking at you know 2,000 people watch parties for for the sky of Israel. Like it's been a very interesting, wild time. Do y'all have any thoughts, any takes on the current conflict? America said that we were going to not start any or join any new wars. Trump is pretty much saying, "Hey, Iran, come to the table, or we about to press y'all." Um, I don't know. What's y'all thoughts?
I think
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I think like Israel, like I say, Iran did shoot some missiles at them a couple months ago, and I don't know, so like it's not unprovoked. I think like a lot of people say Israel shot first. Iran actually shot some missiles at Israel a couple months ago,
But
and
nah, they was
so I
doing
think
that
that
out of retaliation too.
Yeah, I was just about to say, wasn't that out of retaliation?
Yeah,
oh shit,
everything
yeah,
that's
I
been
forgot.
done.
I
Yeah,
forgot. Yeah, no, I forgot because Israel's okay. No, it's been tit for tat. It's been tit for tat. But I think the stance in general, even outside of who shot first, the stance in general to say that like you're attacking Iran for you know because you don't want them to have nuclear weapons when you yourself have nuclear weapons
but
and
who they acting like? They just acting like America.
I get it, but even Israel back in the day, the way they even acquired a lot of the
Y'all hear me?
nuclear
We can hear you
capabilities
now.
and
You broke
stuff.
up for a second.
Yeah, I was just saying they just it's just America in the Middle East right now. That's really what Israel is, and they trying to incite stuff so they can have justified reasons to go in. They kind of using the same Bush narrative, like, oh, they have weapons of mass destruction, and we got to go and stop them before they do. Like, but it's backwards. All they doing is kind of being on the defensive. But I don't know. Israel been playing with Gaza, but Iran is not who you want to play with. And I feel like if you, I don't know,
That's a question I have
Not
too.
to like he don't care about his people at all because he know they go retaliate. Like,
Yeah, well, I thought maybe he thought the Iron Dome was going to hold up, but they've been breaking through.
But outside of that, like the internet and Yahoo sent they got they got planes flying over Tehran, but Iran got like fighter jets too. I haven't heard anything about their jets being scrambled or like their jets flying and so like I think that's a phase of the war that we have to see what happens because like when it comes to missiles and like bombs and shit, I think Israel got an advantage because they backed by the United States. But when it comes to like fighter jets and I don't know if they have hit the fighter jets. All I've heard about them is hitting the nuclear plants and a lot of the leaders, but it's fighter jets that Iran have. I think once Iran put them in the air, it's gonna be a
Oh,
crazy like
that's what you were saying when you said that they haven't brung out the heavy artillery.
oh yeah, nah.
yeah, and they got like
Everybody just
yeah,
playing right now. I think
yeah,
they
they
all got a
haven't
lot of
brought
new
all their
toys.
weapons out. Yeah, like
Yeah,
and
they
like
got a lot
Iran
of
got
new stuff
like
they want to try out.
MiGs
Mm.
and like they got like a lot of technology that they've been getting from China and Russia. They've even been selling a lot of this shit to Russia as like to like test it out in real war situations. So
Hmm.
uh I think it's going to be interesting to see how Iran responds to Israel, and but I think Israel's already setting the game up, and I think Trump's playing into it as far as like us getting dragged into this conflict and us using
Oh yeah,
American
if they
soldiers.
go to a full out war, America's gonna be a part of it.
They
Yeah,
want
so
to
I think,
be. Nobody dragging us like they want to be in. They just been looking for a reason.
but that's a question like I don't know. It's an interesting question as far as like when it comes to morality and like who's really right, who's really wrong when it comes to this. And you're gonna send people out there to die once more for something that's questionable on the morality scale. I don't know if
Something that really ain't
Americans
got to deal with America.
I don't think Americans really just gonna be down for it this time. I don't know if we just gonna be able to send soldiers in this war.
Well, right now, and I would say that the from the commentary that I'm hearing, the Republican Party is definitely split on this. Uh, because of there has been like the whole America First, no new war sentiment that has been bubbling. But then now you're having the Warhawks. They're starting to come back around. Come back around. What do you call them, Johnny? They're um the
War
neocons.
dog.
Yeah.
Who?
Say the word?
The war dog. You said it.
It's neocons, right?
Neo. Oh, I ain't.
I believe that's what it's. Chad, y'all will correct me.
I
The
believe
Republicans that
that.
love war, the Warhawks. We'll just call them that. I think it's neo.
Hey,
It's
shout out to the military stocks though.
yeah. Neoconservatives. Yeah, I was right. Neocons. But yeah. So like they're starting to poke their head out again. And it's becoming a bit of a split. And I think that's kind of been interesting. Yeah, Johnny, I'll let you kind of land the plane on this one.
Oh no, I think
You broke up, Johnny. All right. So nonetheless, with that said, before we move completely off politics, I think Unc did actually come up
my
with
bad.
a very great question. Uh, Trump, he said, Obama phone, I do you one better. He dropped the T1. Obama has announced a Trump phone in service. I think it's 45, 47 a month. Um, and it comes with what is it like? You still chopping, Johnny? All right, I can see you now, so I could probably hear you. But yeah, I think it comes with like what is it? Unlimited text, call, like the whole shebang, and maybe I forget. It's supposed to have like a couple other different little features to it. Are y'all getting the T1? Are y'all joining the Trump service?
I mean, I already got Boost Mobile, so I'm good. Unlimited everything, $30 a month, man.
I might
I
need to
had
make
this
that move.
about 7 years, and my work phone is Verizon, and the Boost is better than that.
I might need to make that boost move. I'll be spending about 100 something for no reason.
Oh
Johnny, you
yeah,
get
you gotta change it up.
oh yeah. Johnny, you getting the T1 or what? What's going on, Johnny?
Nah, that sound like a setup. That sound like a data collection. That sound like
Oh, is
they
that so
ain't.
that's the big brother what is it?
That's a setup.
Johnny, they got
IDF.
all your data. They got your data already. Like it's
I don't
done.
want Trump. I mean, hey, like I get it, but at some point we gotta say no.
Mhm.
He work at
Like,
the White House. He got all your data.
He got your data. Elon, he went in there,
hey,
he grabbed it.
but there's a reason why he's dropping a phone, like specifically, like
Mhm.
to like there's like a certain level of like dog whistle, like this is not like out the blue plan. There's a strategic move that he's making with these phones, and I just wouldn't want to get caught up in it. Like, but I think it's definitely a play. We might not see it, we might not see through the zone right now, but he running something,
Mhm.
and just signing up for it blindly, I think wouldn't be the move.
I think he's just trying to get more money. I think
Fair
what
enough.
they've been saying. but they've been
he in
saying
too much
about
of a
his.
position just to he can get money any kind of way. I think all the plays from Trump now are strategic.
But I know they
He
say
can
he got a
really
lot of debt though. I think he just been setting stuff up for his kids and stuff. I mean, not like he can be rich much longer. He ain't gonna be here that much longer, but I
Hmm.
think he's trying to make sure his kids and everybody straight. So he been making money moves.
I get it. He did have his two sons up presenting the whole thing. So all right, so fellas, to start a bit of a slow segue into the relationship conversations. I feel like it's we deserve to give the diaspora a little bit of a break between the discord and the conversations. Um, we kind of be beating a dead horse a little bit. So today,
shout out to
we're gonna.
everybody black.
You said what?
Shout out to everybody black.
Shout out to everybody black. Um, but yeah, saying that to say, yeah, give it a break, and we could talk a little relationship. We can turn it into a red pill podcast, not literally, but I love to get y'all POV on a couple things. So starting off, this was something that I seen come across the timeline, the shade room. If I could find the video for it, I will after I introduce the topic. But there's a conversation that's going around, and let it get y'all opinion. The question is, would you rather a present co-parent with a stable income or an absent co-parent that's extremely wealthy? I think that maybe this started on the Joe Budden podcast, but fellas, it's had the internet in the uproar. Johnny, what's your opinion?
Oh, I mean, I think it's a loaded question for
Hmm.
sure because that stable income. Like I think there's a reference in there to like it not being a lot of money versus the rich. But I'd take the
Let's just put it
stable
at
person.
let's put it at average. Like I'll put numbers to it so it can make sense.
50
Let's
grand,
say
60
somebody
grand.
that's 1.5 million annually, and then you have a guy that is between let's say that 65k. Like he's stable. The bills will get paid.
65, but he there every day, or 65 and she there every day. Like
Yeah,
however
yeah.
you want to go about the copay. Yeah, give
Mhm.
me the presents. Because like I think there's a lot of like, yeah, I think the presents, even if we ain't talking about like a two-parent household, or even if it's a broken household, quote unquote, I think like a present parent, two present parents over one present parent, and a lot of money is always gonna like give you better net results when it comes to the person and the character always. So yeah, give me two present parents versus one present, one just with the money.
Gotcha. A Black, talk to us.
So it was a rich parent but absent, and a present one but poor.
Right.
Or
Pretty
average.
much. Yeah, yeah.
Be, be pretty flat.
Let's make it even more like to where
I think the
if
loaded
yeah,
question is
so
trying
let
to say poor.
so let's say yes, let's say loaded, not loaded, but present parent but poor. Statistically speaking. We'll put this at like 35 to 40k.
Yeah, I'm gonna take present.
Hmm.
Uh, and I want to say I guess healthily present because some people can be there and just not be there. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But a healthy present person, I would take over a parent that with money but's absent. I feel like it's more value, um, more richness in kind of being there and being present and growing with a kid versus just kind of throwing money at it
Yeah.
because that is going to build resentment and all kind of other issues and problems with them. They might have material things, but they're gonna be missing like a lot of important stuff.
Nah, facts. I think I found the clip that it came from. I'll play about a minute of it and we can kind of break down if it sways us, if we agree anymore, disagree. We push play.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Ash has been here.
Yeah.
Ash, good. Well,
So yeah. 2 weeks, right? Happy to.
we could get to.
We don't do enough.
I mean,
yeah, we
yeah.
figured out.
I mean, we can start with at least coming to have Sister Mel's back on that little tricky question y'all tried to hit her with.
Yeah, they tried to hit her with that tricky shot. I didn't like
Yeah.
that.
Question. It was would you prefer a proactive baby father or a rich missing baby father?
Is that
Pretty
the
much.
question? I need
Impossible
clarity
question.
on what the question was.
I think that was the question.
Who asked it?
All right, so that I fairly decent enough representation of it. So does the framing of the question change anything for y'all?
I mean, I think the question how it was presented there is not as loaded because it says just proactive versus a rich and absent. So proactive could be like above. Like I think proactive, like if you're a proactive father, you're gonna be probably above average in most things.
Mhm.
So I think when I see proactive fathers, I think the kid's gonna be, from a decent, it's gonna be a decent thing on both sides versus rich and absent. Who knows what it's like on the other side? So, uh, yeah, give me the presence over the money, and yeah, cause money can be blown. Like if you don't know what you're doing with the money and you just have money, it can be blown. Versus, it's a lot of people that can,
And yeah, we know a lot of rich people with weird kids. I mean, you can be Dwayne Wade and then have a little boy that's a little girl.
Mm,
You know, I
mm.
mean, got money, but got funny too.
I think Dwayne Wade
It's a
would
lot of
argue
it's a lot of them.
that his
It's a
son
lot of
daughter
them
was
kids.
born that way.
Yeah, you know,
It's a
I
lot of
see
that going
people
on in
like
the
yeah, I see people like Dwayne kind of acting like they advocates and stuff. But
Mhm.
have y'all ever met anybody who don't have kids and they think, when you don't have kids, like, oh, I can't wait to have a son, I can't wait to have a little girl. I hope they smart, I hope they strong, blah blah blah. I never heard nobody say, I hope when I have a kid that they be gay, or I hope when I have a kid that they turn into a transsexual. It's like
But people
nobody,
don't bring that into consideration, and they don't even like think
but
about like
nobody, because nobody hopes for that. It's like you tolerate it and you
Mm,
accept it,
mm.
but nobody ever wishes for a gay kid. It's just like they gotta roll with it once they
but
get it.
like
But
but
I
like having kids, but like you have to understand it's a like all of it's a possibility when you having a kid, and you gotta be willing to like, hey, I'm
I
starting
know
to
it's possible, but I'm just saying when people are sitting there dreaming it up, they don't ever dream that part up. They never. They like, I just hope it's a girl or a boy or nothing. Even if it's gay, I don't care. Like nobody ever says that.
Yeah, be like, I just hope my child's born in the right body of his gender. No, nobody. It like the whole, none of those things are things that actually come
assume
across your mind.
things.
But I
That's
do think that when you have a kid, there's an acceptance of whatever they become is what they're going to become, and I'm accept. Well, let me reframe that. For a lot of people, it is, but there's definitely parents that disown their kids also, um,
Mhm.
and they be like, yeah, if you on that gay shit or if you on whatever kind of shit, don't be around me. Or I mean, like, there's a bunch of other reasons why they'll fuck around and disown people. But yeah, nonetheless, I definitely get it. Johnny, I'll let you land the plane on this one.
hey, I mean about what kids is accepting your
Oh
kids
no,
or who they
oh, no. The
are.
co-parent, and stable income, or absent parent,
Oh,
extremely wealthy.
oh, well, I mean, too limited based on where we are. Like, no, because you don't know who your kid gonna be, so having two present parents and
Hmm.
uh the community and the infrastructure that comes with two people versus one, I think is very important, especially with what could happen versus the money could help, but a lot of times money isn't everything, and when it comes to life, there's a lot of things in life that happen that money can't solve.
Hmm.
That
Somebody said
money.
their husband is broke in the comments.
Yeah, LTL.
Dang.
Well, we know what
Yeah,
you chose. Hopefully he's there. We'll say that. Um,
He's
go ahead,
present.
Danny.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, but not like I think like so like with a lot of stuff like we was just talking about. You don't know how your kid gonna turn out. It's
Mhm.
better to have two present people versus one, and even if it's unlimited money, I don't think that's always the answer. And like just like we in a world where like you could be whatever, but I think having a good, strong male or father figure and a good, strong mm, mother figure, it helps people and it's with the balance. And I think having that, two parent household is very important.
I dig it, Johnny. All right, so I guess this walks our way into the main question about if there's still value in marriage. But before we get there, I think that there is important segues that kind of lead us into the conversation, in which I guess we could set it up like this: marriage in general entails risk, um, but there's always ways that we as people we attempt to mitigate risk. I think we use this word a lot, vetting. Um, I feel like before we get into a marriage conversation and the value of it, probably good to kind of speak about identifying positive, negative traits inside a partner before actually getting married, properly vetting. Um, so yeah, I guess I'll toss out to y'all. How do you and how should men vet when they're actually looking to get married? If you're looking to actually stay in a sustainable relationships and or slash marriage.
Hey, Black.
Uh, so I think first you want to start with kind of making sure y'all have somewhat similar backgrounds
Okay.
or even our upbringings. I think a lot of times we try to kind of force relationships with people, and you have a lot of background differences, and you want to look past them, you don't want to judge people and whatnot. But I think eventually, as you get older, you start to realize that when people are, brought up different than you, and y'all start having those conflicts, you start realizing how important that is when you're not, as they say, equally yoked in different areas. So, if you come from a two-parent home, it might be best for you to date somebody that does as well, because just certain things you won't be able to fix in people because you didn't experience it. So, you can't even really fathom the mindset that they be in sometime. So you dealing with a girl who didn't have a father,
Mhm.
you're gonna be kind of filling a lot of voids and stuff that, some people like to. Some people kind of like to be that position, and then some like, they want somebody that's a little more on their playing field. So I think the family tidbit is the most important part when vetting. Then reciprocity, making sure it's equal energy across the board. It's an equal effort. As far as what you both are giving, and knowing that like somebody's willing to sacrifice for you. Because I mean, the attraction is fun and all that is fun, but when it's time for somebody to do something above themselves and for you, that's something that's you want to have in your vetting process. Because it shouldn't be nobody chasing each other. I know we kind of talk about that and it's idealized, but anything running from you don't want you. In life, when you're thinking about anything you got to chase, you know, it don't want you. Even if it's money, you should magnetize everything that's meant to be. So a lot of people kind of want what they can't have, and they are addicted to the chase or the thrill of, I guess, conquering something that seemingly doesn't want them. But at the same time, it builds up a lot of resentment in both sexes, because everybody is kind of wanting what doesn't want them, you know, and that's
Mhm.
why you see a lot of anger daily with girls and guys, you know, because people are not getting the people that they want, And then people that do want them, they don't like them, or they can't find a way to appreciate them and stuff. So, get somebody that like you for you, you know, not for something you did to impress them, and vice versa, because that'll wear off, and then you realize you don't even know the person.
True enough. So you said similar backgrounds and upbringings. I know you gave the example of like a two-parent household or one-parent
Hmm.
household,
Hmm.
where like either or it can have like similar values and experiences that you can kind of work through together.
Hmm.
Is there anything else when you say background? Would that also be like socioeconomic, where you might want to date somebody that is from a similar economic class as you, whether y'all both got the hood stories or y'all both got the middle class or the rich people stories? I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think same with that too. I mean, there's exception to every rule. So to say that you can't date somebody similar, or you can't come from a rich household and date somebody from the hood, or vice versa. But ideally, even if like people who come from money, they are showcasing their kids around other families who come from the same thing. And then we all know the tropes of the rich parents that look down on that son or daughter who brings home that poor man or that poor girl. But vice versa in the hood, nobody cares if you bag a baller or something, or somebody with some money. But typically, people with money, you want their kids to stay around it. So you're gonna have things that you're used to, that financial education, uh, just being accustomed to certain lifestyles. It's just easier to acquiesce, because you know it. But like I said, some people get off on that. Like there's some rich guys that like poor girls because they like to
Oh,
be
that's
able
the whole
to.
manosphere
Yeah,
shit.
they like to expose them to things and show them things they never seen and things like that. You don't typically hear, rich women dating down, and if they do, it might be on some
I don't know.
frugal
I think
level.
I I feel like that ends up being a lot of times, from I guess from what I've seen, nothing's a better pair in my opinion than the starving artist and the rich lady, or the woman with a good enough job that enjoys spending her money on his art. Uh, but that could be my own personal anecdotes and one-offs. But it does tend to seem like, in my opinion, rich women tend to date down a little bit more than like pretty regular women. I don't know. But yeah, hey Black, you can keep going.
Yeah, like it's like even with that, like I mean, they might do it temporarily, but it'll never last long. As far as you might have a little starving artist situation, but if you don't become of much,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Eventually, they all
they don't typically stick around. Like it's very, I mean, every now and then you see that guy who is finessing some lady with want money, but she ain't usually no fine, super bad joint. She's an
uh-huh.
auntie that got the job that got her a little young guy. But typically people date what was similar to them, and it usually works out better when it's that way. In
I
my experience.
Okay. I feel like it was one more that I wanted to ask you. When I think of it, I'll bring it back. Look like Johnny tapped out on it for a quick second, but we have brung up Ron Dwan. Welcome back to the panel.
What's happening, guys?
Nothing much, nothing much. Been a quick little second, but Ron Dwan, talk to us. Yeah. Do you have an opinion on that first question?
Yeah, I think y'all all touched on some of the things that are important, as far as being equally yoked, kind of staying in the same economic, socioeconomic range is a little bit more important than we probably think. Just because of the way that you're raised, the things that you're brought. It's a little nuances that kind of get deep into a relationship. And also, like, I think it's kind of dangerous, right? When people that aren't in relationships be having these conversations, right? If I'm not mistaken, I believe you are a married man, so
Yeah, I'm
um,
here.
that's different, right? But it's a lot of times, and I'm not saying this show, but just in general, a lot of these conversations are being had by people that aren't in relationships. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm,
you can't even really have a conversation about something you don't understand. and it's not like, oh, I've been with my girl 10 years. It's the same thing. It's not the same thing at all. I myself, I've been married. It'll be what 19 years in September. So it's like it's tough because you hear a lot of what you think would be in the fantasy world. Oh yeah, it's gonna be like this, or I want that, and that's just not the way it works. It's two lives coming together. So in the beginning, you gotta kind of take stock and kind of look at not blinding yourself off of superficial things. But you gotta at the deeper levels be aligned, and that's really the most important thing I'd say out of anything is just being in alignment. And you got to constantly stay in alignment. You know what I'm saying? Over time, it changes. People change, people grow, and not always in the same ways. But you got to always kind of stay in alignment, stay connected to your person, and that's like the biggest thing in all of this.
For sure. I guess let me start by asking this part. What? So you said you've been married for 19 years, which is
it'll be 19 in September, yeah.
Which is his own.
Been together 24, but yeah.
Damn, Ron, you aging well, man. I don't even want to ask how old you is, but clearly you got time invested. I guess what I would ask, it's been a while since you had to vet anything, but if you was to throw out things that you believe are proper or good vetting outside of what it said, is there anything else that you would pile on?
Spend time with the families. So you kind of see where somebody comes from, just like by the mind states around, the people that they were raised around, like the conversations that are around. You learn so much from being around people's families. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it you won't even pick up on now, but 5 years from now you'll be going through something. I'm like, yeah, I do understand that because I see that in her grandma, auntie, mom, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just different things like that. I think it's so many things that you don't even realize is catch. But yeah, I think spending time around families, bro, like that's a cheat code, man.
Can a good girl come from a bad family?
Once again, kind of, bad is relative, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's bad to you, mate?
Can a successful relationship with a girl happen from her being someone that came from
a broken home,
or just like, can she be different than a family dynamic? Where, say, she got crazy parents, crazy brothers.
I mean, I think everybody can grow up to be their own individual people, but once again, you're gonna be a little bit of the fruit from the tree that you fall from. You know what I'm saying, to a certain extent. So everybody got their potential to be their individual. Have their own personalities and get what they want out of life. I know a lot of people that are, brothers, but you wouldn't know that if you ain't know them, personally. So it's like,
right,
you can go different ways, but you gotta, once again, paying attention to the surroundings that seed's fertilizing and is growing in. You know what I mean? So it's yeah, it can turn out to do something different, but if 80% of everybody else along that, what I'm saying, is doing something, it's a high likelihood, even if they are doing something different, when things get hard, tough times or whatever, they're gonna revert back to what's familiar.
Gotcha. Johnny, talk to us. You outside, you on the scene, you are the warrior class right now. When you outside meeting shorty at Whiskey River, we'll say, what are the things that I'm an old nigga, but yeah, you outside, you at Whiskey River. What are the things that early on is you're vetting when you pulling up on her, when you meeting her, and then as the relationship is starting to grow, what are you looking for? What are you vetting for?
Relationship success. That's one of the ones I got from you, as far as like,
if you have a track record of success.
Have you been in, have you been in successful relationships? How does that work? How they've ended is something that, like, you gotta, how that work. And I think A Black hit on it, as far as like, a lot of time us men get caught up in like the pursuit or chasing and like trying to prove to a woman like why we're good partners. But a lot of times you gotta let that woman prove to you why she's a good partner. And like that, like he speaks about like reciprocity. And there's a lot of time, like, if you sit back and you don't do, you could just step back from a lot of situations, and you'll see who really gonna put forth the effort to make that step closer to you, or who gonna also step back. And I think that's an important part of who need to be in your circle, and who you choose to devote that time to. Is like that reciprocity. If I can't depend on that woman in a hard time, why should it's stuff like, yeah, like that reciprocity and being there for somebody is something that I think is very important as far as
Um,
like what
let
I'm
me
saying.
ask you. I guess I got. Well, I'll ask each one of these individually. So do you think that it's important to have the conversation in like in the forefront of what type of relationship do you see us having? Uh, i.e., like do you eventually want to be a traditional woman, stay at home woman? Do you see yourself as like someone that wants to pop some kids out and then get right back out in the field and work and be career driven, and like you're very very ambitious? Um, what role did their parents kind of play inside that sense if they are from a two-parent household? I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I mean, once again, you gotta look and see what they used to, right? If Mom
Mhm.
Dukes was a stay at home mom and that's what they kind of was fostering and came up seeing, they're gonna want to be that, just like as guys, if you have a dad, or you got a good relationship with your dad, that's your superhero. That's what you want to be. So it's no different on that side. So once again, you got to kind of look and see what Mom Dukes was doing, right?
A little
And
bit. Sometimes them daughters love to rebel against what their mama did.
yeah,
They be like,
early,
in the house.
early, but we talking about during the long haul,
Real.
right? We're not talking about dating. We talking about marriage. So we talking about 5, 10,
Mhm,
15 years in, right? When
mhm,
she's not 22 and be in a club, now she's 40, like, you know what I mean? So it's, and
mhm.
what does she look like at that stage? What does she see? What does she have as goals? And it's usually that. So that's why I get back to looking and just kind of taking stock of the family, and seeing how they moving, and just what she sees. Now, if moms ain't successful, it's not working out, she might want to be the opposite, be super career woman, or what I'm saying, go against the grain like that. You know what I mean? But kind of got to just kind of look and see with a situation where the egg was fertilizing.
Johnny.
Like, oh yeah, you definitely like. I mean, the conversation, you gotta have a conversation up front, and like you gotta talk about it, but you also gotta like pay attention to patterns, and like Ron said, you gotta like learn the background and see how the past might be influencing what they're looking for, even outside of the words. Because there's a lot of times people will say they
Right.
want something, and they'll be like, "I want X, Y, Z," but it sounds good. Like real said, it sounds good. You say you want it,
Mhm.
but in all actuality, when it comes down to it, you might not be willing to go to work to get that reciprocity, or there might be limits and boundaries on what you're willing to do in a hard time versus what you said in the beginning. So I think it's a lot of times you got to pay attention to how things in their life play out, how they respond to good times and bad times, and the
That's a good one.
reciprocity in those good times and bad times. But yeah, you gotta have that conversation, but you gotta pay attention to like a lot of
Right.
the
It's more you
things.
watching instead of listening to what they're saying. You just kind of got to
Right.
watch it and see how movements, actions speak louder than words, right?
Right, right.
And
Let me
a
ask
lot of
you.
the trauma,
Go ahead.
like people go through shit, and there might be things people go through that they don't even know how it's affecting them. You don't even know how like seeing your people do this or do that, seeing your mama do that. You don't even know how it affects them. You might look up to your mama and be like, "That's a good woman," and all of that, but that don't mean you necessarily want to live her life. No matter how much you might tell me that, but in your heart, you might, nah, that ain't really the life I want to live. So like you gotta really pay attention to, and I think you gotta go through seasons with people before you can really understand. I think that's why
Facts.
really getting to know, being friends with somebody is very important, because like motherfuckers can like have all the things on the checklist, but when this fourth quarter minute left, she gotta hit that shot. He gotta hit that shot. You don't know how people act unless y'all have been through that them seasons. So I think,
And not to cut you off, Johnny, but in speaking to that, and I'm not sure if this was a question that you did have, Q, but I think, like, what's the perfect time? Like, how long should you know before getting married or whatever, right? And like Johnny spoke to those seasons, it takes time to go through those seasons, see how people react, how people bounce back from, losses, good times, see it, to know a person longer than they can keep the mask on. So I just wanted y'all perspective on that, like what you think of the timetable. You know what I mean?
Oh, and Jen, I'll let you answer first.
I think it's season.
I need to be in relationships for like 10 years, and then he won't drop it.
Who, me? Nah.
Yeah, he won't drop on the knee after 10 years. He that kind of nigga. Tell him.
Nah, but it depends on the season. There's been some chicks, the seasons, then either you be on.
Not the seasons, but how long should you be with a person who you feel like you've seen the seasons already, and you know whether you should shit or get off the pot.
I think that's a loaded question, man.
Yeah, I ain't saying you. We talking about in general. You know what I'm saying? Hypothetical, mythical man. You know what I'm saying? We not talking about Johnny. You know what I mean?
Johnny ain't trying to get boxed in with that.
Nah, we not boxing. We ain't no boxing. We just talking about the hypothetical, mythical man. You know what I mean?
But I think a year to 3.
A year to 3. Okay.
And as somebody that's been locked in for almost a quarter century, I would say a little bit on the longer side of that, the 2 to 3. You know what I mean? Just me looking back and looking at people, and you have time.
Right now. Are we talking about
somebody that's 30 plus, and these girls be on the shot clock? They be catching the ball with about 8 left in the shot clock, and they got.
No, man. Listen, I don't know what you was doing in the game before I got here, but you know what I'm saying. We called the timeout. You know what I'm saying. I started with the first 24. I ain't got. You know what I mean? Got to start with the first 24.
Yeah. I would say that. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't go under 2 years. I think, like, right. I imagine at first you're talking about like, proposing first,
right?
Or like when do you know that this person is the one? I would definitely say the minimal would be like 2 years. I also do advocate for. I think that you probably should cohabitate for a little bit before you get into that. I know like some people are against that, but you really don't know a person until you actually spend some time like every single day and see and pick up on their habits, and they pick up on your habits and see if either or are tenable for what each other likes. I think that's important. So I would probably say 2 to 3 years, depending on, but I think that probably like at least a good 9 months to a year of some version of cohabitation where you're around each other. And like y'all smell each other bad breath in the morning, and it's still okay.
You said what? A lot of times, motherfuckers don't close cabinet doors. Yeah, they should have driven a motherfucker crazy. You gotta like people have quirks, and like a lot of times you won't even.
Well, yeah.
And that's what I went back to, with your statement on seasons, Johnny. And I think it's important to see those seasons. You might need to see some seasons like literally several times, right? So, see how a person might, like to do different type of things in the summertime. It's just, you never know the quirks of a person. I think it takes time to really flesh all that out. What's a random Tuesday like with them 8 months from now, when the mask is off, they're just, their real self. And I think it takes about 1.5 to 2 years to even really get to see that. Yeah. And I think that it is. And I think this is probably something that y'all touched on. And that's of living together, cohabitation. Yeah, I think that seeing them in drama, trauma, and anger is fairly important. Just seeing how they deal with those things,
and that could speed it up.
And that's
like if you catch somebody at bad time. I think like if you see somebody at their lowest, and then like they highest, like that might speed up the process because you can see how they operate when things are really.
I think that like the idea of like growing closer through like a shared like trauma probably is something that could speed something up.
But you don't want to be trauma bonded either, though.
Right, and that's what I was going to kind of walk to, where like it could speed it up, but you have to still make sure you take the time to make sure that this isn't just a quote unquote trauma bonded scenario. Let me ask y'all this. Is there any weird, and shout out Kofi. Kofi's at the bottom. You want to get pulled up to the top, turn that camera on. But Kofi, I'm gonna throw to you in a second. Let me ask y'all, what is, or do you have any quote unquote weird or toxic thing that you specifically vet for? That might sound crazy, but this is something that when you see shorty, if let's say for example, I don't like a girl that wear red hair. I don't like a girl that wear the eyelashes. I don't like a girl whose nails are over an inch, or I don't like a girl who do the little baby hair thing like this. You know what I mean? I don't know. Do y'all have some weird things that you vet for personally?
Makeup.
Makeup. I don't like a woman that wears too much makeup and blonde hair. I can't stand it.
I'll say
That's
no
an
blonde hair.
automatic.
So she
No
can't
blonde-
wear no makeup or a lot of makeup.
A lot of makeup.
Can she throw the mascara on in the morning?
Yeah, no, that's fine. If you do it light, like, you know what I'm saying, some lip gloss, some, you know what I'm saying, some eyeshadow, and, you know, something like that, then that's cool. But when you gotta, you know, plaster 3 foundations and you putting on the eyelash and that's like too much, man. It's like, nah, like, you know what I'm saying? To me, personally speaking, if you gotta do all that, I'm not trying to sound shallow, but if you gotta do all that, you hiding something. You know what I'm saying? Very beautiful women don't have to put on all that makeup. I've seen beautiful women put on a lot of makeup, and if I'm you know, if I know them, like, you know, I'm like, you know, sweetheart, you got to put on all that makeup. You look good the way you are. You know, came here one day, you didn't have that makeup on. You know, you look good.
They just like makeup though. I've seen some very beautiful women that just like they're beautiful without it. I be like telling them, but they just wake up, and whether it's something they seen their mama do, or whether it's something that make them feel, they just gotta put that shit on. But like a lot of times, it be some of the time, and that's more of a red flag when you're a very beautiful woman without it, but then you spend the hours putting it on, and
I don't know. I get like it's such an interesting thing only because of like it's such its own culture with women, like them and Sephora and like the tips and like it's its own industry thing. And like I think that like you sometimes the same way like we like to throw on Jordans and go hoop sometimes and shit like that, and fuck with shit that women have absolutely no interest. Those might not have been like the best examples, but y'all understand the sentiment.
Yes, good.
Like it'll be like some shit that's just for guys that only guys care about.
But that's why I say it's like.
Go ahead, Johnny.
But that's what I was gonna say. It's like yes, I do understand it is a culture, and there's sometimes like women just want to do it, but there are some women that like are in it's a mask, and that's why.
Well, I agree with that. Like I think we all understand and can agree. Like if you're a woman, like whoever shorty was that said that for her a red flag is a guy that want to see her with no makeup on.
Yeah.
Like obviously we understand that. You also did say though, you said that if she's really pretty and she likes putting on makeup, I don't know if that's necessarily a red flag. Depending on what
I context that wrong. Yeah, the context has to be right.
I don't know, Q. I might disagree with you. I might disagree with you on that one, Q, because I think even, you know, beautiful or ugly, it gets to the root of the same issue, and that's my issue with it. But it's the insecurities that you think you're covering up, and that's stuff that's on the inside, and you know what I'm saying. So I think that's the root of the problem for a lot of it. Is like, why do you feel the need to have to hide something about yourself, you know, beautiful or not, you know, to the outside subjective world.
Right, and again, I get that part again. I get that part for sure, and I think that's almost like the
and that's separate from the catfishing element of it, which you know.
But again, like this is where I like, and I'm not necessarily like a guy that's an advocate for women like just caking on the makeup or anything. Let's like making sure that's understood. But I guess what I'm saying is that the more you are around women at times, you realize that like a lot of it is just like them in their own little thing.
It's their own thing.
And it's not necessarily like this whole like need to mask up. And like sometimes on Saturday, they just want to do the little thing and get dressed for the girlies and shit like that.
I can't count the Saturdays I spent in Sephora and Ulta and you know what I mean? I get it. I know, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like I don't necessarily just count that as low self-esteem.
No, that's what I'm saying. Not always, but if
it could be a time.
Like
if you have
we're trying to make that distinction and the nuance of it. That like we're not saying just because you put makeup on, it's a red flag. But there's certain instances where the makeup is quote
If you're
unquote
uncomfortable without it, that's
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
that could ruin your life. You're uncomfortable without it, then they can't go anywhere without it,
Right.
or you gotta wait an hour because spontaneously we want to go here and I have to wait, and we're gonna end up getting there late because you gotta take an hour. Yeah, that's very inconvenient.
Yeah, well, women in general won't be late. That's a hard one to kick, but I understand the sentiment for sure. I do want to make sure that Johnny didn't specify that at first. Johnny just said if she's pretty and she want to wear makeup. But I think we all agree on the ending part. You said what, Johnny?
I gave it bad context, but we figured it out. We figured it out.
Ron, any crazy vetting takes? Like something that you specifically look for. Johnny, he don't like pretty girls that wear makeup.
So once again, we talking about imaginary fictional man, because none of that applies to me. But you know what I'm saying. I would say diction, man. Like you gotta be able to talk, bro. Like you have to be able to hold an intelligent conversation. You have to be able to be able to be in certain rooms. You have to. You kind of get put in boxes based off of that a lot, regardless of the physical appearance. Like you have to really be able to, can I bring you out to a certain space and have you linger off in a conversation with someone? Are you going to be?
That's one of the top, it's higher up on my list. Like I got to be able to feel comfortable leaving you alone in a room, and not that you about to go run off and cheat, but No, I'm saying you can hold your own in the conversation and not make me look crazy.
Right.
And the funny thing is damn, you got this is one that can contribute to the conversation.
Exactly. And that's important, and that earns men a lot of respect too. So.
That's actually a good one that it gets overlooked until you see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's not necessarily a red flag, but it's like a green flag that when you see it, you be like, that's that shit.
I
wouldn't necessarily put it because of red. I don't necessarily know to look for. I don't even know what the opposite of that would be. But when I see that thing y'all talking about, I already know it's like ding ding. That's that shit we looking for. So I wouldn't put that in a red flag category, but it's definitely something that when you see it, and you might not ever.
No, red flag is a woman with bad diction for me, for sure.
Well, if she goes, but there's some women that are so good at the thing, and they're so smooth, and there's women that are average with it. I think.
Being average is fine too, but just you can't. You
can at least be average, but
right. If it's below average, then it's, are you even going to be understanding some conversations you're around? So it's.
Yeah. Nothing can be worse than going to a function with all the folks, and then your lady done said something that you got to explain for 3 hours. Couldn't nothing be worse than that kind of shit. And God damn, I'm gonna just leave your ass at home from that.
Yeah, family talking behind your back, where did he find her?
Or the looks, your man's looking at you like you like.
I can. No, listen, I like smart women. For me on dates, if we're having a conversation and I'm like, you kind of airheaded, it's a dub. Personally, that's always been a. Yeah, Johnny, you've known me long enough. I ain't brought no airheads around at all. Typically,
you've been doing to soften it up real quick, bro. You be
Yeah, I kind of want to mention something that's a little bit off topic here, but I was going to mention it, but Sharon brought it up, especially when it came to the whole makeup thing.
Okay,
when women wear makeup, right? Because since we talk about dating and things like that, I don't think most women dress up to what a man wants. I think most women dress up for other women, right?
Because that's why I say it's his own culture thing. They have their own culture that they're doing their thing for.
Yeah, because no man, I never heard a man, we all men here saying oh man, Shorty look good, but I don't know, her nails ain't done. It's what? We don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? Her hair look nice, but I don't know what's going on. We don't do that. You know what I'm saying?
No, if her hair is kind of looking raggedy, it's a red flag.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. I say you have to. A man would care if your hair is very raggedy and your nails is all messed up, like it has to be something extreme. But if you carry yourself well and you're decent and you're a beautiful person inside and out, it's okay. Especially if you got a banging body. No man doesn't care about, you know what I'm saying, oh, what kind of shoes are those? Like we're not looking at that.
You don't care if that purse came from Chanel or H&M. Like
exactly. We don't care. So I always find it odd. Some women will be on some like, well, oh, I'm having trouble finding a man. Yeah, but you wearing all that makeup? Does a man ever say, oh, honey, like, you know, you need to add an extra foundation or something? Like, men don't do that with the whole Bambi eyelashes. No man ever said like, yo, shorty, I was about to get it in with shorty, but her eyelashes, son, like, what's up? They're like normal. Like, that's not a conversation men have. So it's like, it's just weird. I think women dress up for other women, not necessarily for the men that they're trying to get.
Yeah, it's and that's what like I said, they have their own like specific culture, and that's why I tried to relate it to like men. We have like specific things as men that, you know, like it's our own culture that we pay attention to and be like, oh damn, he got the one of one Travis Scott XYZ da 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 da. That's more so for men than it is for like women, and that's his own thing. That's why like. I don't know. I understand vetting for it, but I think we've already kind of beat the dead horse on. There's nuance to it. Kofi.
Yeah.
Well, I guess. I'll toss it to you to answer that. Do you have any crazy vetting takes outside of what we've already went to?
Nah, not really. Again, I'm like Ron, man. I've been with my wife for like 24 plus years, so. If all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have to think about, like, you know, when I was dating and team, my problem basically was just finding a very nice, kind person that wasn't crazy and had like 5 kids. That was my problem. You know what I'm saying? Like she was never with the kids, but I just had bad luck. You know what I'm saying? She'd be by herself, you know what I'm saying, holler at her or whatever. And she's like, oh yeah, I got 2 kids. I'm like, God damn. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, my cousin, I just found out my cousin homegirl who I knew for 10 years got a kid. I never seen. I'm like, yo, I be seeing you all the time, but like I never knew you had a kid. That's crazy.
You don't even post your kid on your IG. Nah.
So my vetting process basically, my vetting process was basically like I literally did like a list of all the things that I would want in a woman. And when I met, so if I had 10 things on that list, when I met my wife, she added like 6 other things that I needed on that list. That's how I knew that she was the one. You know what I'm saying? She checked everything on my list. So I found myself very fortunate. So just to backtrack a little bit, you guys say, well, how long you have to be with the person? Ron says, you know, you have to go through the seasons with them and things of that nature. So before I got married, I was with my wife for like 2 years. We were single. I mean, we were not living together for like a year. And then in about a little bit over a year, I proposed to her. Then we lived together for another year. And then after that, then we got married after that. So, you know, some people would say it may be too fast, but when you got a good thing, you know, you got a good thing, you jump on it.
Yeah, I think as long as you've not ran, like I know people that got married in under a year. And yeah, like that shit ends up crashing and burning a lot of times. And I wouldn't advocate for that, but at least like if the path of like when you say I do is about 2 to 3 years, I don't think it's per se rushed. I kind of land with that. If I'm to think of a couple crazy things that I probably vet for, I got a few different little things that might be out the norm. Inside like the dating phase, I definitely I use the word income basement. To me, like there's like very easy vetting qualities in my opinion when like I like somebody that's smart, educated, and typically with the like for me, I have like an income basement that if you make less than this, I'm probably not interested because of, in my opinion, I don't have to deal with a lot of like quote unquote ratchet behavior, and like he almost vets for it's not perfect at all because we all know some nurses that make really good money, but you know they still in the
ratchet show for real.
Yeah, but To me it successfully worked in the sense of like at least eliminating some of the fluff from the field.
It's a good filter.
I would say like certain things, like I'm not really materialistic, so like I vet for if you gotta have the Louis bag with the Fendi and with the like I'm not that kind of person. So like if I was that person, it wouldn't matter. But because I'm not that person, that's something that I don't really live my life by principally. So I wouldn't want to date somebody that's a designer queen type shit. Yeah. I will say, fellas, the one that
another one to that list too.
Okay, go ahead.
It's more of like behavior stuff. Like if you wear sneakers after the sun go down, I can't. No,
that's a new one.
I can't do it.
What if they like
Are you jogging? Are you coming from the gym?
Like Adidas Sambas. What about or let's say like some New Balances?
Are you coming from the gym?
Let's say what could you like some nice Sambas.
You from New York?
Do you classify Sambas as sneakers or those shoes like Adidas Sambas?
I was trying to be liberal because I feel like you should be in heels, honestly. But I'm a different kind of guy.
Oh, you on that type time? Okay,
yeah, I do be. Yeah. So it's like you know what I'm saying. I be trying to give a little bit, but come on, yeah. After
nails
the sun
gotta be done. You know. Hey, nails gotta be done too, right?
Yeah, that's his personal care, like so. You gotta kind of have a certain kind of just baseline level.
You gotta have them French tips, white toes.
Now Ron ain't playing with him. You can tell Ron ain't playing with him. All right. Let me see if so. Nonetheless, as we start walking our way into the conversation, like we've hit the vetting conversation a little bit. Ran down some of the things in the Discord. There has been or was a interesting conversation that had been bubbling a little bit before when we announced it. Shout out GG. He's at the Kendrick Lamar concert. I think he probably turning up to Not Like Us right now. Like I said, doing the victory lap on Drake grave. He did the 2 Toronto shows. He in DC now. G's celebrating with him. Shout out to the funeral. But saying all that to say, damn, what was I saying? All that shit talking made me lose my train of thought.
The chat. Something's going on in the chat.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you, Kofi. Yeah. So in the chat, we had a really good, interesting conversation led by G and Chikwe. I think Kofi he might have jumped in a little bit as well. Where the question was, or the conversation was based around the role, if any, your parents should play in choosing who you marry. What are your thoughts?
I understand where Chikwe is coming from. He's coming from, from a West African mindset as far as like your parents being very involved in your mate, in your family, extremely family oriented is something different than we would be used to here in the West. I do get it, but certain aspects of it, I do agree. But your parents being totally involved as far as like who you date, I disagree with that, and I'm using my own experience as that. So basically, parents are gonna be parents. If you're a couple, we're a couple. We're adults here. We're not like 16, 17, 18-year-olds. We're grown people, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes your parents give you a suggestion, but it's really in order, and you like, wait, I'm like 27, like I don't gotta listen to you. You know what I'm saying? So, they end up resenting, what you're doing. Like in my instance, one time, my wife was pregnant with my daughter. I said, hey, look, we're going to move to Virginia or whatever. And, her parents were trying to just discourage it and blah, 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 blah. And there's a lot of things that, they want us doing, but we did what we wanted to do. And pretty much we came on top. We made decisions that we made, it was good. So sometimes when your parents is involved, it's corny when I say, well, you live in your own life. You got your own life to live. Your parents is not living your life. So that's where I disagree. Are you married to your wife or are you married to your parents?
Mhm.
You see what I'm trying to say? So I understand what he's trying to say, but I disagree in the end.
Got you, Johnny.
No, I think like I've been looking at some documentaries this week, and they were talking about like when it comes to Iran and the Shah, and there was arranged marriage, like when it came to that, and there was empires at stake, and I could
Okay.
see how it could be beneficial. Like when if you're leaving your kids, if you're leaving your kid a whole country, I think lining up who his wife is important. Outside of that, I think you just in the way. Like if you ain't leaving billions, if you ain't leaving infrastructure for your kids, and you just like trying to dictate who they marry and getting in the way, I ain't with it. Like I say, there been certain times in history where you can be like, okay, I understand what the parent was doing, lining his kid up with this person, but for the most part, parents just be in the way. Even you can go back to Romeo and Juliet. It
Mm.
was parents trying to get in the
What
way
was it?
with
The
that.
Montagues and the somethings?
And the I forgot, damn, the Montagues the only one I know. I don't forgot the other
Yeah,
family name, but yeah, Capulets or something like that.
it
Yeah,
was something that's close to it.
but even back to Shakespeare, there've been warning signs about like parents and getting in the way of true love. And like I said, if you ain't passing down generational wealth, getting in the way of your kids marrying who they want to marry is just probably problematic.
Got you. Ron, talk to us.
I'm gonna go a little bit different way, right? I
Mhm.
think you one, it depends on the relationship that the family has with you, right? You got to be, have a trusting relationship. If everything's everything, everybody's doing everything out of love, I think you do lean on your family a little bit. Sometimes, you got to trust that in love you'll be blinded sometimes, right? So
Okay.
you got to lean on other people to see some things, to make sure things make sense, to have more experience and wisdom than you.
So if your people was to say, nah, she ain't the one for you, go the other
I
way.
mean, I wouldn't. You're obviously not gonna let anybody make those decisions for you, but you want to, if you got people that really love you, and if somebody that really love you and they got a good reason, you got to kind of take stock to that reason and kind of try to, figure that out a little bit more, a little bit deeper. But you should take the advice and the insight of your folks, people that know you the best, that may see some of your blind spots. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that all goes back to the trust. You really got to have a high level of trust. And I'm not talking about 10 people, but a good 2 or 3 people that are really, really close to you and kind of really know you and, what you've been through, your story, what you may need and looking for and all of that.
Mm.
So let me ask the both of you guys a question, since all three of us are married men. So
Okay.
honestly speaking, did you guys get any pushback from your from people marrying you being with your wife,
For
like
family
while
issues,
you're
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
like was it from the women, was it from the men?
Right. I speak
I
for
would.
myself. Like my father-in-law didn't like me for like the first 5 years. You know what I mean? So it's
The
like,
father-in-law.
but I'm just saying, as a person that's gone through some of these things, and the wisdom that I would say, if you have that relationship with your people, man, if I'm going to go, I met this shorty 6 months ago, a year ago, even 2 years ago, and my brother's like, listen, bro, I got some concerns. I seen this, and not even they, got information, but just, it could be personality traits. It could just be anything, just some red flags that I may have not seen. I've been blind to, previous situations that they see that, correlates to that. If you got a little bit of trust, you got to kind of take stock to that. I'm not saying let anybody make your decisions, but I think you really should lean on your family. And I think, honestly, I think that's part of the reason, that our culture is where it is, because we don't kind of lean on the wisdom of our elders. We don't have enough respect for our families in general.
Well, I guess that's an interesting. Where you landed it at probably now throws me to like a different space. Like I wouldn't put this as like a black thing personally. I don't think that specifically, like even American culture outside of like the rich is not like this
That's fair.
big thing
That's fair.
like people are doing per se what their family do. A lot of times the more
Right.
the more common conversation that you do hear is like either, like you said, stepdad or my stepmom or like somebody didn't or wasn't in approval or was upset about something. I feel like that's more common than I got the blessings from everybody and it was the thing that we all had like a joint conversation and everybody was
even if everyone doesn't agree, I still think you should kind of just lean on some things. You know what I'm saying? So you're not always going to agree. You know, your cousin might be like, nah, gang, but then, you know, it still works out. But you still should have, you know, put some ownership or some stock into the opinions of the closest select few in those times, you know.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I would say going to Kofi's question, I think that like some things are very like dynamics in general, especially when it comes down to like if you're getting married, are interesting, and sometimes they can be mistaken as different things. Like for example, with Ron Dwan, you said like your wife's pops wasn't favorable for a while,
right?
Where there's also a space where I don't know if this is true or not, but sometimes this can happen where more than not liking you, the idea of giving his daughter away and it being given away in like not necessarily like the most perfect way that he thought it was going to be and like this big crazy thing, and not even explicitly specifically for you, is just not what he fantasized for his daughter.
Exactly. And as I've gotten age and wisdom and I have a daughter of my own, I understand now. You know, it's not a personal, you know, it wasn't I didn't look like the vision that he had in his head, you know, me raising his kid. So, you know, it wasn't a personal thing. But what I guess what I'm saying in answering his thing is that I think that a lot of times we can kind of confuse that, and that can come off at that at first. But like you said, like with age and wisdom and understanding, and we got the best of relationships. We've had these conversations, you know, so I have understanding now, and you know, so just I got the understanding now, and I can relate. I have a daughter that's 22, so you know, I get, you know, I have a certain, you know, thought of what I would like to see, and if something shows up in a different package, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, and
my feelings about it,
and I get it, and that, like so to answer Kofi's question, I think that I wouldn't say like any overt pushback, but like you can tell like different sentiments when, you know, like a mother might be giving away her son, and like there's going to be like this weird little, you know, limbo back and forth dynamic thing, and I think that probably be like the closest thing that I would say. But yeah. I guess I'll also try and give my opinion really quickly in the sense of if a parent should make the decision or like what role they should play. I believe that's what I asked inside like you getting married or deciding if you get married. I think that to what Ron Dwan said is true. Like you should listen for sure, especially if like you're a little younger and you're getting married younger. I think that it weighs a little bit heavier with that. And I've seen those interactions play out. But I honestly think that, in my opinion, because of how many moving parts and dynamics and things happen, I'm not one that just says that, hey, your parents should be like this ultimate vetting thing. Because it, like, even in that, it comes down to so many different things that doesn't matter with the parents. Like if I just give like an easy one, like your parents could be conservative and you're liberal, and you're with a liberal person, and like y'all are ideologically and principled aligned, but this isn't the person that them inside like their conservative upbringing and thought would approve of. Just making it like as simple as that, but you can like broadcast that off across a bunch of different examples, in my opinion. And I think that, again, listening to things that they say, of course, if there's like certain red flags that they're pointing out, you should definitely pay attention to that. But I personally wouldn't say, I'm about to throw to you. I personally wouldn't say like they should be the end all be all per se on what you decide, because at the end of the day, you and that person are the ones that's building the connection, the relationship. And there's so much shit that happens is going to happen in-house that they're never going to know about and that y'all have to work out together, that, you know, like they're only going to see the side that you present to them. That's my PO.
But nah, I think like when it comes, like, it could be a red flag, but I think more for me, it's something that I look at, like, if my parents get along or approve of the chick, it's more of like a green flag. And it's one of those things
Okay.
where, like, it can help you more than it can hurt you. Where, like, if my parents really get along with you, and it's really gonna, like, add points.
It could hurt you when you done with it, Johnny, but mama love him.
Maybe stinking around.
She gonna hit mama up. She gonna hit mama up and be like, "Hey, your son tripping."
Yeah, but
And then
like,
she gonna feel yeah, go ahead.
but like, I see what you're saying, man. That's some fucked up. But
Mom Duke say never hit you and been like, "Hey Johnny, how Jackie doing?" No,
they do that.
I've been a couple.
It's been a couple.
Got the ones that she like. Mom got the ones that she like. And when you don't see them for a while, she don't know what's going on.
She won't forgive me to this. Like, yeah, it's been a couple that should have been my wife, according to Mom Dukes. But like,
Johnny,
according to Mom Dukes, there's been a couple. But like, that's a green flag. But like, if Mama don't like you, I didn't go hold it against you, because Mom Dukes and raise red flags, and like, there's certain parts of my personality that she don't really fuck with. And like, if somebody speaking of that, of course she not gonna like that parts of them either. So
yeah,
I ain't necessarily red flag it, but like, if there's a connection there, I'll definitely give you a green flag. Way more so, like, in my vetting process. That's something I look at. Like, I'm looking to reward somebody more than like discount them or being like, oh, you don't get along with my mom, so we can't ever be together. But if you get along with my mom, the likelihood of being together goes way up.
yeah, it's definitely a positive if the better the relationship is. I would say that for sure. Ron, I think you're about to hop in and say something.
I mean, with the question that,
okay.
that I was asking.
Oh, that must have been Kofi. Okay.
Yeah, that was me. The reason why I was asking, because in my experience and friends that I know that are in relationships is usually the mother. This is a weird dynamic. See, like Ron is usually that's usually the typical one. Oh man, give my daughter away. I don't like this guy. But there's also another dynamic, and you kind of hit on it a little bit, Q, where I'm the oldest out of three, right? So my mother relies on me, a lot of stuff like that. So, only certain things, you as a son that could do. But once you're gone, your time is divided, and the time between the things you do for your mom gets less, and they could be kind of envious of your fiance or your wife or whatever, and they have to get used to that, because remember, they have a lifetime of my son being there, and usually it's something they have to get used to too. My friend said the same thing. He said he even told his fiance, like, oh, I'm gonna have Rick do this. He's like, yeah, I need Rick do this. Yeah, because you're gonna take my son. Yeah, you're gonna take his son. You already took my son away from me. She said it in a joking way, but in a condescending way.
And I get it. Like that. That's one of those jokes. It's a joke, but it's some actual feeling in there.
I do want to put back on it a little bit, because there's certain situations, like my pops just had, where like my mom, like, if there's another woman, it wouldn't be like her like necessarily hating the woman because she's taken away, but it's more of a concern where, like, how do I factor in to where my son has been there for me, and if you taking him away, like, there has to be, because like I ain't never gonna choose like no matter how much you take, it's never gonna be you or my mama. Like, it's always gonna be like, how well can y'all work together? It's always gonna be a combination. It's never gonna be a point where I choose somebody over my mama, or it's gonna be like, it's always like, how well do we operate? So like, in that.
Ron, let's pause right there. It's probably like a really good conversation, in which I feel like too many memes have already been made about it. I'll toss to the married guys, and we'll throw to the single guys. So, like, if you was to order it, Johnny said that it's his mama, then whoever else he's going to choose, and it's kind of like that order. Do y'all look at it as that same order? Is it your wife first, your mom first? Thoughts?
The married men or the single guys?
Married men first.
Well, my mother is a devout Christian, even though, you know, the example that I just give you, she said, hey, once a man marries also his wife, he has his own wife and he has his own children, his own responsibility. So my mother tries her best to understand that, hey, you know, that's your wife. You know, you have your own life. Because sometimes like, hey, mom, it doesn't matter. She could wait. Wife could wait. I gotta do this for you.
But where do you put it at? Not what she understands and she accepts. What do you?
It depends. That's not a choice that I'm always going to make all the time. It's not always going to be the same. Depends on the situation.
Never gonna be a choice.
So when would you put your mother over your wife?
I mean, when she's sick, when, you know, she's in a situation where she actually needs my help, and my wife is very understanding, and, you know, she gets it. So I never really have to choose. To me, that's something that you shouldn't really necessarily have to choose, especially if you have a wife that loves you and a mother that loves you. If they love you just the same, they'll be sensitive to the situation that you're in. So you're like, hey, ma, I kind of want to, I know I need to do this for you, but my wife needs this, that to be done. They should be able to, all right, son, it's okay. I got it. Or vice versa. Hey, babe, you know, my mom needs this, that. All right, fine. Help your mother. You see what I'm saying? Like me, how I feel, because I wouldn't want to put my wife in that situation. Oh, you better either choose me or your father. You're like, why would I do that to somebody that I love? You know what I'm saying? So that's why
I understand what you're saying, but I also said, I guess to push you to make a stronger statement, because it sounds like kind of middle grounded. So in the hypothetical, not where it's like as pretty as it can be, where everybody's understanding. I don't feel like thinking of like a hypothetical where it would be like either or, but let's just give like a basic, simple. It comes down to like an either or, like either I'm going here or I'm going there. Is there a principle that you already have set?
All right, so I'll give you a real life situation. So when my wife and I were dating, we got in I gave her flowers or whatever. I forgot what the fight was about. That's when I was living with my mom's, and you know, my room's in the basement or whatever. I'm chilling.
But you choose your mom when y'all dating.
We were dating.
Either way, yeah. Like either way, if you're dating, you got to choose your mom.
Yeah. So I mean, but this is a problem even we have to this day. So my wife got mad. She walks out the house and she drops the flowers in front of the front door. So my mother,
this might have got good. What she get mad for?
I forgot. It was years ago, man.
Oh,
it was years ago.
Right,
yeah, she got mad, and so she put the flowers on the steps. She's like, "Yo, I just saw you give her flowers. What happened?" Oh, she mad at me. So my mother was like, "Oh, that's disrespectful." I'm like, "Mom, what you mean that's disrespectful?" Oh, she's gonna take her flowers, your flowers that you give her, and just put it on my steps like that. That's disrespectful. I was like, "Mom, she's doing that to get to me, not to you. But it's my house." I'm like, "Mom, it ain't got nothing to do with you." Up to this day, mother's like, "Nah, that's still disrespectful." So I'm like, "Mom, no, right is right, is wrong is wrong. Why would you?" So her and I still have that back and forth. So right to me, again, right is wrong. So you know, so I'll push back on my mother if she's wrong. Same thing with my wife.
Kofi, I'm telling you give me these stories not to give you a direct answer. Rondo,
I like Kofi back in the basement again.
All right, Rondo, let me see if I can squeeze a black and white answer out of you. How do you order it if you do order it?
God, man, wife, children.
Where's mom laying at? God,
man, wife, children. Like once you get married, you're your own thing, bro.
That's its own precedent. Okay.
Yeah, and your family would know and respect that. So there should never be even a time that this should conflict. Because if you do have to do something in service of your mom's, the woman that you married, like she's not like there should never be a conflict with that. Like you should be with somebody that totally understands that. You got to take care of that, but vice versa, your mom should know not to overstep. And that's what I was saying too. So it don't always work that way, but
if it comes down to a moment you have to choose, you're choosing wife.
You have to. If you walk down that aisle and you made that commitment to start your own thing, you have to honor that.
Wow.
Okay. Chico.
That's where I kind of landed though, because I told you my mom is the person to understand that same that religious dynamic. You know what I'm saying? But you know, Q wanted me make it.
I'll be trying to get you to give me a black and white. You
all right.
You love to give us the parables.
Yeah.
Chiqua, you married, right? Or am I
Yeah,
am I incorrect in this? Okay, all right. Chiqua, give us your
Hey,
thought.
this thing is wilding.
Huh?
yeah. It's got to be
Hold
the
on.
wife. No, but
Wife,
just real
okay,
quick
wife
though.
first.
So
Coming to you.
yeah, once you a solemn responsibility to your wife and your children to raise them up, to protect them, to make sure that they have everything they need, and you cannot divert that. I mean, you're always going to love. That goes without saying that you're going to love your mother, but you have a responsibility to your wife and your children, so you can't put that down for your mother. But you're always going to love your mother. She's and your mother has an interest in the success of your family and seeing. I mean, I don't think you can really pose it as an either or, but you do have a responsibility.
If you had to. All right, so let's go to let's head to the single side, or single and or not married. I guess that'd be the best way to frame that. Johnny talk to us.
Well, no, I was gonna say like the one thing like I was saying like that even sparked this was like the understanding, and like you have to choose a partner that like will understand your service to your mother or your service to your family, and like it
But it
that's
sounded like if you had to choose that you was gonna choose Mom Duke stuff. That's what you was kind of saying at first.
because I'm not married. Like once I get married and once I walk down there and make that commitment, then I have to relinquish. But I wouldn't do that
Okay,
to
all right, you
somebody
walking back a
who
little bit.
does not understand. Like they also at the same time don't understand my responsibility to my family, and I think that's something that's very important. If you can't like, if you too selfish to like, you need the attention when I'm over here helping Mom Dukes out, but like you and your feelings about me splitting time there or not being able to step up 100% on this side because I had to help.
Well, I guess maybe if you gave me give me a tangible example of what that might mean. Where you're saying
It
like
might be
splitting time with Mom Dukes and
it might be somewhere like I
y'all
have
married.
dinner playing. Well, I have dinner. We got date night playing, and Mom Dukes have something go on, and I gotta maybe.
Like what's something go on though?
I ain't trying to just say, oh, mother, but it could be anything.
I'm not asking you to give a real scenario, Johnny.
But
Let me give a hypothetical right now.
I just say like say Mom Dukes.
So like if Mom Duke said, "Hey Johnny, I need you to like I'm out of eggs in this date night," and like that could be something going on, or it could be like she just fell down and she need to get rushed to the emergency room. There's a big like spectrum of what something going on could be. That's why I'm asking you because it's
I'm
important.
talking about more on the latter side of what you said, as far as like me doing that, or it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so give me an example. That's help us understand what you're saying.
Like I don't know an example. Okay, she fell down and she need help. Like,
all right. So now so that's an emergency. So I think that everybody in here probably would agree that in the case of emergency,
you kind of pinpoint my example, but like it could be like
I agree with your example. Okay.
Yeah, but the example might be she needs some eggs, and like I decide, hey, I'm gonna go help my mom out with this, just out of service, and I might be a little late.
How long do it take to get eggs?
Uber Eats, Instacart.
And how long does it take to get eggs? You know what I'm saying? But you can be like, if she can't wait for you 5 minutes, you get your mama some eggs, something wrong with her.
Well, no, because you also got to think, Mom Dukes might not live on the same side of town as you.
That's what I'm saying.
That could be a 45 to an hour pushback.
Hey, but Tommy, there has to just be some reverence for my relationship I have with my mother and the honor I give my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if the woman that I choose that I'm gonna give that responsibility, she would automatically like, not necessarily a 100% time, but she would want to take a back seat to allow me.
She would go with you to get the eggs for mama and drop them off with you. You did
right, and that's what I'm saying. And there has to be like that level of like reverence for like what I got going on, and like and that's what I'm saying. Like I would never pick or choose, but like if I'm ever in a situation where I gotta pick and choose, I want my choice to be like, fuck it, me and you gonna go do the shit for your mama. It's like I don't have to choose. Like I want her to like show me that same like reverence. And I think that's a very important.
Yeah, that's like middle ground in the question again. But I get it's like marriaging. Like if we're having a question when you got to make a choice. It's like saying, I want us to all do it
My
together.
whole example was about not making the choice. Then you made it a question, and then like, cause my whole point was like,
No, every
I
single
need
time you're saying,
balance.
like, I get it. I guess this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with if you're choosing your mother first. I'm just pinning you down to actually making a statement because that's what you're saying through everything that you're saying, and that's okay. But that's what you're saying.
One thing too. One of the things that causes jealousy, in at least in many women that I know, is signs that their attention and resources are being diverted away from them to some other woman. So being diverted to your mother make your wife jealous in some sense. Go
ahead. Valid. Talk to us.
Yeah, what's going on? I don't, you know what I'm saying? That's a question to me that I couldn't answer because I was so young when my mother passed away versus, you know what I'm saying? So I never had to deal with that. But I know I have my sisters and that's about it, you know what I'm saying? But I couldn't, I figure like it's depending on the situation, on what's going on, how bad your mother needs you on something or whatever, you know, but something is serious. Like you said, if she's still on the other side of town, as Kofi said the right thing when he said Uber Eats, I'm sending you some eggs. Uber Eats gonna bring you some eggs. But you know what I'm saying? But it's different ways you can do different things or whatever. It depends on what you need. But I would never, if I'm dating a woman, I would never put her before my mother. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know how long this relationship is gonna last versus my mom. I know this is gonna last forever. This is my mom. And why would I want to fall out with her over?
Like, life is fleeting.
What you say?
So, like, life is fleeting. You don't know how long you're gonna have your mama either. So that's something you got to like have reverence for that relationship while you still can. And like any woman that make you like choose or do that, I think, or any woman who wouldn't even help you honor that relationship, because whether she like your mama or not, whether she agree with everything your mama say, if she wouldn't help you honor that relationship, I think would be a red flag for me.
Gotcha. I guess like if I was as we wait for the call back in, the healthy pushback that I would say to what you're saying, like I've seen scenarios, for example, where like you might have like a mom that asks for almost their son to be inside like a husband-ish role, where like my grass needs to get cut, I got to hit my son. And you can just run down a bunch of lists of different things where you can see that they've been accustomed to them filling that void over years for an extended period of time. And eventually, once this person gets like their own family, that the mother might, feel the kind of way when he ends up like drawing away from some of those things. I've even seen them do that with the daughters as well. Like when a person gets accustomed to like their kids, especially to me, I think you see this a lot with like moms that pretty much grew up with their sons per se, especially single parent roles, to where like they're accustomed to them actually playing a lot, and then when he has to divert all of that energy, if not the majority, and this is where to me it becomes the biggest difference is trivial versus emergency, where there's a lot of things that they can get used to a person doing in comparison to like what's. Go ahead, Johnny.
But I'm saying, like, I understand if we talking about like a single mother where the dad's never been in the situation,
or just any of them. Like you can kind of run that down.
But like I feel like if it's a situation where like dad's been there and it's a widow situation where mom now has this void where like it's not even really her fault, my fault. It's just that's where life happens. And as out of respect as a son, I feel like there's a lot of things where like whether I'm in a relationship or not, I want to step up and be there for my mom the same way like my pops was.
Sure. I guess let me give I'll give my opinion, and then it'll better paint like where we can have the conversation.
I think the POV I have is a different angle from where you're pointing at it, like just a single mom.
Right. And again, like we don't have to like specifically like what's the word did you say, Ron Dwan? Mythical, spickle man or something like that? Like, you don't have to like
imaginary mythical man, but
we don't have to highlight it.
It's funny because that's kind of exactly what happened with myself. Like I kind of went through something like my pops passed and I'm the oldest of four. And my mom's, she had me young, so it was like that same dynamic. And that's when those conversations you really have to kind of go through with. You got to hold your mom accountable too. Like I'm getting older. This is a transition. It's and she has to kind of what I mean, because sometimes it's the moms, it's not your girl. So
And I guess like I said, if I was to give a bit of a POV, and then I guess we can go to Johnny then Unc, because I think Unc didn't finish his point. And shout out Quincy. Quincy, you here? We gonna get to you. Yeah, I would say personally, like I'm not like hyper religious man, but I do believe inside like that general order, where it's whether you say God, man, woman, children, and then there's like family underneath that. Right. I think that's kind of like once you start having like your own isolated specific family, you kind of have to order it that way. And like my brother to this day, he talks about like even a conversation that he had with my pops where once he had his whole like his own whole family, my dad, I think maybe it was some kind of like traditional family gathering that we was having. And he was like, hey, it's about time that you start your own tradition with your family and like the group that you have like a whole tribe over there.
Right.
And like where there's a spot where you like maybe at first you're like, what you mean? But then there's also the spot where it's like, oh, I get it. Especially, father to son, where it's like it's time for you to start building your own legacy. Right. And where, like I said, you start balancing out, to me, like I said, trivial and emergency. Like, I think that every son is going to and wants to make sure that they're there for their mother, their dad, their parents in general, inside the sense of emergency. I think trivial is when it gets a little, wishy-washy, where, like, it could be like, do I need to cut the grass? Or, go grab me this thing. Like previously when I was always available, that wouldn't have been like a thing. But if now I have a wife and kids, and this is like the first priority, if I can do it, sure, but it's still its own thing, in which I think this is where now the next big word ends up being, and it's cliche, and it's like one of them words that women use sometimes, of boundaries. I think that like when you have like a certain set of boundaries, like, hey, like it's cool if we like whether it's with your mom, your boys, whoever.
That should have happened in the transition when y'all got serious. It should have been a time period where you got.
I think your sound went off. While we waiting. Well, huh?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, but like I think that's an important designation as far as like when like that relationship goes from just like your girl to your wife, and like
and right now we're only talking about marriage right now.
Marriage, like I think you do have to have those boundaries when it comes to marriage. But like
your wife should come first.
Your
wife should come first.
No, I agree. Once it's wifey, but like sometimes those transitions aren't as easy.
Right. I can agree with that.
It's always been there for Mom Dukes, being able to do all the trivial stuff. Also, then you get married. It's like
marriage is a whole different level of ability. That's a whole new thing.
You have to understand. Your mother should understand if she have a husband. If she have a husband, now that's where it comes tricky. Like earlier when y'all was speaking of, the dynamics of family. If the mother doesn't have a husband, she don't understand what it's like because she's never been through nothing like that. But if the mother has a husband, she should understand the fact that, the dynamics change after a while. It's not the same anymore, and it's not your little boy anymore. This is a grown man with his own family. And from him having his own family, there's going to be things that he's not going to be available for you to do all the time. Now, you got to just look at it, if you go a little bit harder with it, because if your mother told you, I need so-and-so, this, that, but something kind of trivial, and you in the middle of doing something with your wife, you like, come on, ma, I got you, but I'm not going to not do this when I'm doing my wife to come over and bring this to you when it's not that important. If it's not that important, then if it's not a life or death situation or something that she just needs, but something that she wants because she's used to you running behind her all the time, if she don't understand that, that's the conversation we're going to have later on. But right now, I'm going to do this for my wife. You don't need this. My wife needs this time with me. My wife needs so-and-so, whatever. This thing we doing right now, we getting together and we making something better for us. And our relationship should be sturdy enough as mother and son for me to be able to do these things. Now, if your mother come up to you shorter than that and she don't understand, it's different. But like I said, if she don't have a husband, she'll never understand that.
I ain't mad at it. Quincy, welcome to the show. Talk to us, Quincy.
What up, Quincy?
What's going on, man? What's going on? I don't think it's that complicated. And I think it does connect a lot to. I didn't hit a whole show earlier, man. I was kind of spotty, dealing with the kids. But when y'all talked about, your parents, I think you spoke about either getting your parents' approval or do they have like some degree of a voice and.
Oh, okay, choosing,
I do think that that also ties into this whole conversation because like if it's a whole transition. Like if your parents, one thing I found, I've been married for 10 years, a little bit over 10 years, and my family loves my wife, and my mom loved my mom passed, but she loved my wife too, right? So as far as the approval of how much say should they have with your wife or your spouse, I'm telling y'all, man, it makes a world of difference when your family actually likes and loves your woman. It makes a world of difference. I'm not sure how many people I have married, and but I've seen it from my uncles who've had wives that the family didn't like. You know what I mean? So the kids didn't come around as much. The cousins weren't with the rest of the cousins as much. The babysitting didn't go as smooth because the handoff to the kids wasn't as smooth. It like the favors of, hey, can you watch the kids for a second because we want to run to the movies. You don't really get that when the parents don't like the daughter or like the son. You don't really get it as much. And then going into my guy was talking about before he broke up. He was talking about the transition. And transitioning into from a girlfriend to a wife, a lot of the issues will be worked out when y'all had that transition, as far as how much time you'll be dedicated to your girl versus your mom, especially when your mama know you getting serious about that girl and know you're gonna marry her. You're gonna spend more time. I mean, especially if you had kids. Like in my scenario, my wife's is from a different state. So I was hit with the scenario when we had our first kid where, hey, I gotta spend Mother's Day not with my mom because my wife is the mother of my child. So we going to her state now. You know what I'm saying? And my mom, she never said anything about it. She just understood it just was what it was. So I think all of these things are kind of intertwined between your parents and your family liking your wife or your mom just kind of understanding and not being so overbearing about needing her son. And I guess somebody else brought it up about like having a husband, and I think like that's a big part of it too. They got their own man to take care of stuff, then they wouldn't need to rely on you as much. But if they are in a scenario where they don't, then they're single, then I just hope that the transition would be, and it would need to be a conversation at some point. But I don't think it needs to be like a stringent or like any animosity or anything. I think it's just a real sit down conversation. But hey, look, man, I'm getting serious with her. So, I won't be here for Thanksgiving, to help out like I always do.
These are the new boundaries, and these are the I get what you're saying.
It's new normal. Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny, you started this whole conversation. Where do you land at now?
I mean, if it's the wife, mama come second, third, after the kids. Like whatever the Bible says, like that's what the Bible says. wife. Like what the Bible say? But like,
Okay,
as a
Johnny.
girlfriend, if that's my girl and my mama say she needs something, shorty, you better understand how I'm going over here looking out for Mom Dukes.
Yeah.
Cause like, and me and Mom Dukes got a different situation. My pops just recently passed, and so it's like
Mhm.
she's been a wife. Her whole life has been being a wife, and now she's no longer a wife. Like as a son, I feel like her only son. I got a sister, but I'm her only son. I'm her only child. I feel like I've got to my pops wouldn't, my pops wouldn't have anything other than me helping out my mother and
Of
helping out
course.
family. It being that, so like if I get with a woman and she can't understand that as a girlfriend, there's no way you gonna make it to the wife to where you can even come in front of her. And that's all I was saying as far as just the balance. And same with my boots. Like it's a balance. Like if you understand I'm with Shorty and I'm doing such and such, there's a certain level of independence that need to come, and that's what I was gonna say. It's always a balance, and if, like I would never be put in that situation, but I know the order. I done read the Bible. I think that's Proverbs or something like that. That break it down like that. But it was just speaking on the courting situation, honestly, as far as
Well, I
courting.
don't think that it in a court situation that makes sense. I guess I don't know. Like all this is fresh, so I guess we'll save this for our part two in a few months, a few weeks. Yeah. I got a couple questions, but like I said, I think that everything's a little fresh, so I'll kind of Euro step. Fellas, we got a decent little panel here right now. I'm gonna start introing into the actual conversation, and yeah, I think that we got enough diversity on the panel. Look like we got 3 married guys. We have extended relationship guy. Johnny, what do you call yourself?
Johnny P.
Okay. That's just Johnny P. All right. Johnny P is a part of the warrior class. And by the warrior class, if you hear us refer to that often now, so there's the unmarried, no kids over 35. If we was to go to war and nobody had nothing to lose, those the guys that we sending.
They're not taking us first. They go to war. They going 18.
No, we just advocating to send y'all first.
Like why would
I ain't got no
like,
responsibilities, and y'all over the hill. 20-year-olds got something to look for. Y'all 35.
Y'all not trying to, y'all are not trying to win.
You ain't married.
Y'all are
You the
not
warrior
trying
class.
to win. You sitting a bunch of
Oh
old
man,
35 plus to be the warrior.
Yeah. Y'all can front line it. Y'all ain't got nothing. Like if you sending 100 niggas to fight the gorilla, y'all got to be like first.
That's called cannon fodder. I'm not trying to be nobody's cannon fodder.
All right, but nonetheless, going into and segueing into the to the actual question, I'll throw this first question out to the panel. Have your views on marriage changed over time? If
yes.
so,
Yes, mine has.
okay.
Mine definitely has. Because when I was young, I used to think that marriage was the greatest thing. You should do this. But as I got older, I saw it to be something that I don't see where it's needed. That's how I feel. But I don't see no disrespect towards anyone that is married. I applaud everyone that's married. Great job. But I don't see where it's needed. I don't see how does it better you to go before a pastor or either the judge, and how better did it make you as in your relationship? Did it tighten y'all, or did it make you feel better, or did it financially get you better, or how did it do it? Why do it? What's the purpose of it?
Did you
When I was younger, when I was young, I thought it was a good thing, but as I got older, I just didn't see what was the point on it. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
Go ahead.
you good. Yeah, I think your speakers are up loud. I can hear the feedback.
Yeah, the echo.
My bad.
I'd say when I was younger, like growing up, being in a 2-parent household, I always thought like that was the way, like the only way to do it. Like the example I saw. So like growing up, I always held it in such super high regard. I thought that was the path. I
Okay.
got out of here, and I have friends that have been through divorces. I see how it goes. I see the modern dating culture, and like it doesn't look as it was appealing. You know, when I'm in my 20s to early 30s, but the older I get, the more I see like going back to I'm more of a roller coaster. I was really high on it. I got kind of low. Now I'm back high on it as far as just like
Oh, you are
having a
back
partner.
out. Okay.
Like yeah. Like I'm roller coasters, and like now I'm back high as far as like I do see like the
All right. So it's
value
gonna,
of having a partner, having being committed to one person, and just building that that fortress up against the world. It's you and your person against the world. I definitely see value in that.
okay. So you're not trying to be warrior class for life, just for the moment.
So I'm about to get up out of here soon, bro.
Oh, it's the roller coaster. Okay, I got you. Quincy, it sounded like you was about to hop in.
Yeah, so that question is like twofold, right?
Okay.
So I just give my personal view, then I give the objective overall view. So personally, like marriage wise, like I mean, if you marry the right person, I guess that's the best way to put it, because marriage is what you make it, and it is who you choose. But if you choose right, I mean, your woman can only make you better, you know. And that's the reason why you choose her. So my wife has made me better tenfold. I mean, it's even pushing me to want to be better in areas that I may have not either cared to be better in, or maybe it just wasn't really a priority. But because I didn't want to disappoint her, or I just wanted to be better for her, and then subsequently for our kids. Yeah, man. It's just yeah, it's no. That's where it is. It is with me. And honestly, man, like she got my last name. The kids got my last name. I mean, I don't know how to even describe that feeling of a grown woman taking my last name, and a grown woman having kids with me. And I remember my firstborn was when he was a baby, and my wife had to go back to work, and I'm like, hold on, she just left me with the kid. Like, I know this is my son, but I never had kids before, and she like, this is mine. Like I like so yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot there. It's a lot there in but let me be transparent with me.
That's
I
just
didn't have
having kids with somebody. That's not marriage.
what no, no, well, that's what I was just about to get to that. I didn't have kids before marriage, right? I did my thing, but I didn't have kids before marriage. So I wanted to experience that with my wife, right? I never lived with a woman before marriage. I wanted to. I mean, you had people kick it, for a
Oh, so
weekend.
you wasn't cohabitating before y'all put a ring on it.
Nah, nope.
Not even like engaged. It was no cohabitation.
Nope.
Boy,
No,
Not even for like a week.
Traditional for
Man.
real, boy.
she was. I remember I said she's from a different state. We was long distance, and then when we got married, and then she moved to Georgia for me. So a lot of the like yeah, so like kids, living with somebody day to day, like even when like you get real tight with a girl and you start hanging around their family. I did that, but and I had women I've dated, but I never really got tight with their family because their family was always out of town. Her family was the first one that I kind of got mixed in with, right? So so I'm saying that to say it's a lot of things that you can do outside of marriage that I chose not to do. I was conscious about, nah, I want to do that with my wife. You know what I mean? When I live with somebody, I'm living with my wife. When I had kids with somebody, I'm having kids with my wife. You getting in tight with people's family. Like I'm doing that with my wife. And I think the reason why a lot of times people feel like you don't get much from marriage is, or they just whittle it down to just paper, is because people doing everything else under the sun. That honestly, that's really, you supposed to do that with your wife. You know what I mean? Or your husband. Some of that stuff, like
You don't
I mean, I got a little pushback, but
you
so
don't catch the car for you buy it.
so Quincy, before we pivot to the next person, just making sure I get your answer on the so has your view, I know you sounds like you was for marriage, and it almost sounds like you're for like almost like the very traditional courting process of marriage as well. Would you say that your views have changed over time or not?
Nah. I've always known I wanted to be married, but I do still feel like I do feel as a man, depending on how you do it, like if you do it different from me, depending on how you do it, it's not really much you could get from marriage in a marriage that you can get outside of a marriage. If I'm being objective, depending on how you do it. Now, if you consciously hold back and just don't do certain things, and I'm not even religious. You know what I mean? I ain't saying I want out there in the streets.
You think that you could have a successful long-term relationship, like? And again, I think that we know like there's the onesies and twosies where that could happen, but like generally speaking, do you think that you could have a successful long-term relationship with a woman and kids without putting a ring on it?
And do you think you could have the same fulfillment with a woman without marrying her if you just stayed together?
I mean, to each his own. I mean, I'm pretty sure somebody can. I couldn't because I would want my wife to. I put it like this. I'm willing to die for my wife and my kids. So if I'm willing to die for you, I need you to be my wife. You know what I mean? I don't need you to be no long-term girlfriend. Yeah. I ain't trying to die for no girlfriend, no long-term girlfriend. If I take a bullet to the head right now for my wife and my wife only and my kids too. But you know what I'm saying? But not a girlfriend. And I think that's just a difference for me. If I'm that dedicated, then shit, why not be married? Why you can take a bullet for somebody but you don't want to marry them?
Got you. Cheekway, talk to us. Yeah. I'm gonna start saying Chuck because I know I keep saying I have put in my mind how I'm gonna say your name, and I'm gonna just say Chuck from here on. Chuck, talk to us.
Yeah. So marriage, the longer I'm married, the happier I am with the decision. I see it as like an investment. With each year, it pays more dividends. It's not just with more children, but with wife, and she's beautiful. The fact that she had my kids to me is a miracle. It's amazing. She's so beautiful that I want to see her reflection in my kids. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I think it's a bedrock of human civilization. You cannot have a cohesive groups without marriage. You cannot have a community, strong communities without marriage. So that marriage is not necessary. What they're advocating for is, very loose arrangements of communities where there's nobody really binds people together. Marriage is supposed to not only bind two individuals together, but bind families together into like extended families and bind those extended into like clans or into a larger group. You see what I'm saying? There's a purpose to it. But if you just unhook,
just want to make sure I want to direct you to the question first. So clearly you are pro marriage. Has your views changed? It sounds like it hasn't. It sounds like I imagine it sounds like you're kind of dogmatic in the idea that you believe that marriage is the foundation of community. Marriage is the foundation of probably, if I was to go out on a limb, probably the future of what Black progress would also look like as well, because it's the foundation. Well, yeah, it's the pillar of a strong community. Is that fair?
That's absolutely correct. You cannot have community without marriage. So if you're saying that you don't want marriage, you're saying you don't want community. You just want a bunch of baby moms, baby dads, and a bunch of loose arrangements of people who are together temporarily. You don't want anything permanent.
Right. Who Johnny is? Yeah, I think it's on you. We heard from Uncle already, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna push back, but I kind of thought about it. I actually agree, but like my pushback would be because I said I'm high on marriage, but like the pushback would be where can we have all of these things as far as tight families and two-parent households without necessarily the institution of marriage?
What does marriage have to do with a community. I don't understand that. It's like I don't.
But that's what I'm
I
saying.
understand. I
But,
don't.
but that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying we've talked about like where there's people,
and
there's
I just,
families.
you
Like
know,
I've even dated
everybody
stuff
could just.
where where they've had tight like the mom and dad have been together for 25 years. They weren't necessarily married. I wouldn't necessarily like say her family was like a broken family
But
because of that.
marriage, what marriage
But,
is
but I'm saying, but
Hey Johnny,
yeah,
hey Johnny, if we can really quickly, I think that probably right now it probably makes sense for Chuck and Unc to kind of have like a quick little back and forth because they're advocating two separate sides of the coin. So yeah, I guess Chuck, I give you like a minute and a half to kind of respond to what he's saying. Then I throw the Unc for about a minute and a half, and y'all can have like a couple like rebuttals to each other. But yeah, you can kind of start it off.
Okay, so marriage is the context in which children are born and raised and created and educated and oriented. So marriage is that context that you bring a child into the world, orient them to your group, and it's stable for as long as you're alive. It's a stable arrangement, and it's a way to transfer assets to your children. So there's many functions out of marriage. It's not just the production of children who have your name, but it's also you can easily transfer your assets to your children who can transfer it to their children. You know what I'm saying? So one of the reasons why I value their opinion in who I marry is because their assets are going to ultimately go to my wife and our children. So there's levels to this. So you cannot have cohesion without marriage. If you're just shacking up and having children with women you're not married to they could come and go. There's no permanence. So if you cannot really, you're doing your children a disservice without permanence. You don't really building any community that lasts and that can withstand any difficult times if you're not anchored together with marriage. So if you're not getting married, then you're building a castle made out of sand, and that's it.
Gotcha.
What about like divorce?
Well, Johnny, you gotta let them get their back and forth really quickly. Go. Minute and a half.
Can I go now?
Yeah, minute and a half. You got it.
All right. All that you saying to me sounds like a bunch of words. Because marriage, no matter what, is just a piece of paper, and it's just the government. You putting yourself that I love this person to the government. The same thing you do with that. If you want to do that, go get a lawyer and sign a contract between the two of you. It's the same thing. None of it is nothing but letting the government tell you that. You know what I'm saying? Just putting some more paperwork on you. That's all that marriage is. It don't mean that I don't love you. It don't mean I ain't gonna take care of you. It don't mean none of this or whatever. Everything you're saying, you can do all of that binding with contracts. You don't have to go through the course of just saying that under God we did this, or under the court system we did this. If I love you, whether or not the court or anybody else say I love you. It has nothing. I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna take care of you. If I love my kids, they're gonna have things left to them from me. It has nothing to do with the court system sitting there telling me what I need to do. I don't need the government telling me, the government or anybody else, your God or anybody else telling me who I should love and how I should love. I love the way I love, and if it's my choice not to go up in there and put paperwork on somebody, I don't have to put paperwork on somebody to say I love them. They're not, you know what I'm saying? They're not a dog or nothing like that. I don't have to put paperwork on them. And on the free will of the world, and you saying, oh, it's stable and all this, why is the divorce rate so bad if it's so stable? So many people get married and so many people get divorced. It doesn't mean stability just because you go get paperwork on somebody to go same thing and go to the court system and get unmarried. So that right there don't mean that you're going to give family or not. I'm
gonna ask you a quick question, then we'll throw the Chikwe. So it sounded like you said that like a rebuttal to getting married would be going and getting contracts drawn up for all the things that I guess would bind you legally through marriage. If you do that, why not just get married then?
But that's what I'm saying. It's pointless to do either of them. It doesn't make sense. I don't see why to do either of them. But if you want to, you can do that. But you don't have the government and the courthouse is not in there. You had the paperwork done there, and everything's gonna come by there. I guess you could do the same thing if you get a prenup. But to me, it just doesn't make sense. I don't see why you have to get married. It's just useless. It doesn't. And everybody like it makes me a better person. How does it make you a better person just because you're married? I don't understand that. If you're a bad person, you're gonna be a bad person whether you're married or divorced or with somebody. You should be a good person because you're a good person.
Do you think that commitment is? Let me mute you while I talk. Do you think that commitment helps a stable or helps stabilize a relationship?
Yeah, of course it does. But you don't have to be committed to someone to be married to them. I don't understand why it's such a big thing to be married. I don't know. Maybe it's just.
I think that in saying that you don't have to be committed to somebody to be married, I think that we all agree that can happen under what a marriage should be, though. Typically, you're supposed to be committed to be married, right?
No, I'm not saying that you don't have to be. I said you should be committed to someone if you're married to them. You should be committed to someone if you love them. You know what I'm saying? If you love someone, marriage doesn't make you love them more. I don't think it does, because if you love your wife 1 minute after you married, with you it does.
No, it did for me. I love her a lot. I loved her a lot before I married her, and I love her more 10 years later.
But I'm saying, but you still love her though. You still love her. Either way, you still love her.
I love her more as my wife.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But that's to each his own. You know what I'm saying? I applaud all you guys for that right there. If that's what you want to do, that's a great thing. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with if you want to do that, but it's just not my thing. And I don't, you know what I'm saying, go at nobody for them getting married or anything like that. And that's why it's frustrating when people be like, oh, you doing this or whatever, you wrong because you're not getting married. No. You know what I'm saying?
You mind if I jump in real quick? Like, I'm not saying that you're wrong for not getting married. I'm not saying any of that. But I will say, you know, you mentioned that you don't want to get the courts and get the law into your relationship. But I mean, I'm be real with you, man. I mean, like if you pass, would she be would she be over your estate, or would that go to your closest of kin? If you was in the hospital and you was they want you was on life support, you know, she could have no choice in whether they pull the plug or keep you alive or not. Your life insurance, unless you make it a point to add it, you know, give it to her.
Yeah,
you know,
they're already on there.
I know, but I'm just saying you are dealing with the law to some degree with your lady in ways that honestly marriage kind of just checks the box like all the way across the board. Instead of having to go in and check each box and say, well, you know, she could pull the plug. Well, she's over my estate. Well, she's on my insurance. Well, you know, like if she's dying, then can you even go in the room? Because you know they say, can you even go in the room if she's dying? Shit, I've seen it where, you know, people have been together for 10, 20 years, but when they die, you know what I mean, they ain't even mentioned in the obituary at the funeral because this is a girlfriend. You know, but you know who is mentioned? All the husbands and wives of the family, all of them are mentioned. You know, so I get what you're saying, but you know,
I could care less about after I'm dead, I'm dead. You understand what I'm saying? And anybody that wants to sit and wants to do something as silly as that right there, who cares? I don't care. I'm dead. If you're not mentioned, as long as you know I left you everything, that's all you need to know. Everything is yours. Everything, the insurance going to you and my kids and all that. I'm not worried about. I don't care about that because you know what I'm saying. When it boils down to it, the people that's doing there. If everything is left to that woman, she the one that's paying for the funeral. She the one that's doing all this. Everything is left to her. Then she's the one that's doing it. If she don't do it right, I don't care. I'm dead. It doesn't. That right there wouldn't matter to me. But I know that she did get everything left to her and my children. That's all that matters to me.
So I do want to throw back to Chuck before we bring in Kamu. We can get a South African POV of this, but Chuck, but
I'm I'm gonna be quick. Just real quick, if you're not married to her, she's not your legal next of kin. She's not the decision maker. She cannot make your funeral arrangements, and she cannot do things that's just the point that the good brother was making. But what I see is happening is that marriage in America is becoming an elite institution. It's becoming something that people with a certain level of resources engage in, and the lower class people still just shack up and have children out of wedlock. But it's just once you hit a certain level of marriage,
So are you saying I'm lower class? Or is that what you're speaking?
No, I'm just saying the trend is that if you have
but that's what it sounds like you're kind of saying that I'm lower class because I didn't get married, and that means that I don't have anything to leave her, or I don't want to do it because I don't have anything. Is that what you're saying?
I don't think that's what's being said.
No, I wasn't insinuating that at all. I was just saying that this is a trend I'm seeing in society, that the people who get married are people who want to transfer assets to their children, and not everybody is interested in that. And I'll just leave it.
I guess I'll go to a bit of what you're saying. I think that maybe G introduced this conversation into one of the chats, and I didn't really think about it until I thought about it, and I was like, damn, I do see this to an extent where somebody's echoing. I'm not sure who it is. Let me start. Okay, cool. So saying all that to say, status symbol. There we go. Marriage in itself, for like once you get to a certain level, it's not looked at necessarily positively if you're going into, and you almost get X'd out of certain functions if you don't have a spouse, if you don't have a wife, and that becomes its own thing where there's a lot of functions that you can't really engage in if you don't have the wife to bring along. Like there's like certain dinners inside like corporate America that being a bachelor, you're not going to get invited to. There's certain spaces where you're going to, kiss babies and shake hands that you aren't going to be invited to as quote unquote the bachelor. And there's like this own version of like the status play that happens once you get into like the corporate America space of like moving up the ladder when people start using the word networking. That when you can go have dinner with the wife and kid, or like both wives and husbands can go have dinner, it's his own thing. And I've seen it, people talk about it, like it is an actual real thing that until like it was pointed out to me, I didn't really like put a finger on it, but when it was said, I was like, damn, that shit's fairly accurate. Yeah, fellas, Ron Duan, welcome back, brother. Camus, you've been listening a little bit. Give us some POV to your thoughts from what you've heard so far. We haven't gotten too deep into the conversation. I don't even think we've asked the first question, but what is your thoughts on what you've heard so far?
Sure. How's it, gents? Look, marriage, I'm glad we're having this conversation because often, especially I think as, Black people, we are overly emotional when it comes to marriage, right? So marriage is an economic union between a man and their spouse, or a woman and their spouse. And that's what it is. It's about assets, privileges, and the legacy thereof. So my thing is, we don't have any contesting avenue of bringing men and women together except for marriage, right? For you in the States, the only legitimization you have is the legal avenue. For us, so we have this cultural practice, but it looks ridiculous now, but I mean, it's what we do. So we pay lobola. It's basically dowry. What you do is when you have a girlfriend, you send your uncle to your uncles to their family. They meet their uncles, and they negotiate, and the practice in and of itself now has lost in translation. We use money. So you send your uncle with a certain amount of money, and then they get there, they negotiate with their girlfriend's family, and they put a price on it. It's like, okay, well, our girl is educated, she's a virgin, doesn't have a child, all of those things, they come into play. Well, you're gonna have to pay 100K, then you pay the money, then from there you get the blessings from the family, and then you go ahead with your legal things. You go to Home Affairs, get the certificate, and then do your thing. But for me, I don't necessarily think that the institution of marriage is the only solution for men and women to be together. Obviously, being exposed to the legal avenue now. So amongst Black people, the only people who do not do this dowry thing, the lobola thing, is the colored community. You just take your girlfriend, and then you go the legal route. And for me, it's like, it makes sense today. Okay, sure.
Oh no, I was going to. All right, just to kind of get you concise really quickly. So for or against the modern version of marriage?
Well, I'd have to say that
just short.
I don't really.
You could go or you can get married. What you doing? Or neither, I guess. I don't know if you're doing either.
Well, I am getting married, but for me, it's like
So are you being forced into marriage, or is this a willful act?
What's the dowry?
Oh, he just threw the dowry at it. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't want to pay dowry.
Oh, so you don't want to pay dowry, so you just getting married?
Yeah, I want to just get married, and it's like it's gonna be very hard. You know what I mean? It's like my girlfriend would it's like no, it's almost impossible.
All right, but, so Kamu, it sounds like so. Do you feel like you're being forced into marriage right now?
Yeah, sure. You know what I mean? It's so yeah, I feel like that, bro. And for my marriage to be legitimate, I'm gonna have to do those things. Otherwise, my family won't recognize me as a married man, even if I can go the legal route. But if I don't do those, so-called customary traditional practices, it would be invalid. Yeah.
But Kamu, real quick, those marriages last a long time, and you cannot disrespect your family.
Not necessarily.
You got to do the right thing.
No, our divorce rate is insane, bro. It's insane. Divorce rate is insane. And I wrote a thesis about the connection between that practice. We have a very crazy gender-based violence. So
is it men or is it women?
Yeah.
Okay.
Women are being killed, and often the statistics show that they're being killed by their lovers. You know what I mean? They're being killed by lovers. So I mean, both, bro. Married and not married, non-married and married. So they're being killed by people next. You know what I mean? So there's a correlate, according to my perspective, and that article I wrote. There's a correlation between men feeling entitled and feeling that they have ownership on women because of the idea of paying the price to get them to
I actually get exactly where you're going.
You know what I mean? So hence
so Kamu, I think you probably have his own you have to send us the you said that you wrote a thesis and a paper on it. You might have to send that to it. That's interesting enough to be its own unpack. I feel like if we was just to stay on you, we'll probably end up like having a whole episode of you breaking down and us critiquing South African marriage customs and why you getting forced into marriage. But and us not doing that, let me ask y'all this. We've kind of teetered the line of it. Kind of asked everybody if there was for or against, if their opinions have changed. If we was to hop on the other side of it really quickly, are there benefits to staying single for the long haul?
Absolutely not, bro. Absolutely
Nope.
not. Marriage comes with a lot of social benefits.
Mhm.
So being single is, especially as a man, being a single man is a scary social experiment.
There's
Okay,
nothing.
Johnny, what you think, Johnny? You might be the only warrior class man up here right now. Talk to us.
I mean, I was gonna say, man, them niggas ain't outside enough, bro. It's always outside. Yeah, man.
They ain't
Uh,
Whiskey River with you.
yeah,
All right.
I mean, like,
Hey, I don't know. I listen. I
I'm
seen
saying,
Ron
hold on,
Dwan making it rain
they
at some convention center. It looked like
they
Ron
say,
Dwan outside. Oh, my bad.
I mean, yeah, I do be, you know,
hold on, wait a minute.
you be
said
hard on
the
Johnny.
benefits
But listen,
to
I
staying
am who I
single.
am. You know what I'm saying? I ain't, you know,
There absolutely
it's
benefits to staying single. Like, I mean,
Get a
what
long
do
call.
you
All right, break down some of the benefits for being long-term single.
You would never get divorced.
What about being single and
That's one of them.
childless? Dying,
That's one of them.
that's not a win.
I mean, you can still have a baby. That don't mean you like not getting married.
Right. But what about like when you like 75 and single with no kids and there's no legacy, is no like.
What about when you 75 and divorced, you 3 marriages down, and you didn't got divorced?
All that money you had to give up.
And yeah, like, so I mean, but I'm talking about, did you create a family, a tribe of people that actually love you, who will be there in your dark and sickness? You don't gotta go get married or do the contract. I mean, you should. I'm all for partnership. I think you should like put time in, and if you put time in with people, you raise your kids, like they gonna be there for you in the dark day. But like as far as like just because you
Okay,
get
but all right.
married,
So just making sure I understand. So you said that is there more benefits besides for not getting divorced to just staying single forever?
I mean, you get to have your fun. Like, I mean, you get to choose. There's a lot less like with risk come responsibility. Like, there's a lot less responsibility with it. You can just have your fun. You can hop around. If like, what man wouldn't want to just have fun? Like, so I mean, it is like some benefit, like to just doing that. You can be. I mean,
I'm not married, but can I jump into this?
Yeah,
I can't say I don't understand what you mean by, having fun. Just because you married don't mean that you don't have fun. You have all these married men look happy to me. They
like
do.
Q just said
They
that.
look happy as hell. But I'm saying, I'm not saying that I'm not really for marriage. But y'all look happy. Y'all look happy as hell to me. They're smiling, happy, and all. So
I'm gonna tell you what you know would be fun when like every night I know that I ain't gotta worry about calling somebody and be like, "Hey, you still up?" I could tap a shoulder.
But I can do that. I do that.
You just said that you not single.
I'm not sick.
you're
No,
not married either.
That
I'm
statement,
not married either.
Are you married?
that statement don't apply
Are
to
you
you.
married?
But
No, I ain't married. Come on now,
No. But
You're not married either.
the question is talking about big like single Johnny.
Single.
Getting like warrior class. My guy like out on the hunt, like you said, enjoying yourself. To me,
But
hunting when I'm 45 just sounds like a headache.
it is. I have friends that are still out there doing their thing. I just look at them and shake my head. I'd be like, I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Why you ain't?
I think that you broke up. Quincy, we
What that
heard
was,
you in a second. What did you come?
yeah, but I just went Instagram like with my saying like single.
All right, so my bad, John. Listen, I don't be trying to make announcements on the pod, but if you
Johnny,
want
what
to,
you do to him, man? Like he coming for you tonight.
oh no, this is me. Me and Johnny do nothing but joke on each other all the
He
time.
putting the pressure. Do you know your girl, Johnny? That's cold, man. He putting the pressure on you, man.
Nah, well, listen, we don't make. I only let Johnny make announcements on live. It sounded like he wanted to hit at something. Johnny, did you say?
Oh no, I ain't say nothing. I was just saying like, but like if you seen like, I ain't hiding that neither, but I ain't gotta go and announce shit to the world. But I ain't hiding shit either, like,
Oh man, nah. Yeah, nah. Johnny's my guy. Like, yeah. John, this is our report. I have to fuck with Johnny a little bit. Quincy, we haven't heard you in a second. What's your thoughts on this?
I'm sure there's some benefits to being single when you're older, but I don't think the benefits outweigh being married and maybe having kids at 75 and having your wife and all of that stuff, and maybe having a extended family who check on you. I'm gonna just be and not to bring the room down, man, but in the last couple of years, I've seen older people like die by themselves. You know what I'm saying? And one in particular, people didn't even realize that it was like not too long after the Super Bowl, he had a stroke or something, right? It took a few days before somebody even realized, hey, have you heard from such and such? I hadn't heard from him. Have you heard from such and such? Right? Because he was single with no kids, right? And then sure enough, by the time they found him, he was pretty much brain dead. I think it maybe took I'd say maybe 4 days, maybe 5, but definitely 4. And by the time they found him, he was brain dead. They had to pull the plug on him. You know what I mean? And to that I'm like, like you all know, man, y'all got, I'm not sure who y'all got, brothers or your parents or whatever. I can't see in this scenario unless he just done messed the whole family up, where a married man with kids or ex-wife or wife or whoever would go 4 days and nobody heard from him. You know what I mean? Like, so and that's even kind
I've seen people who ended up who were married and their wife died before them and end up in that same like. I don't think being married and not married keep you from that scenario.
I mean, when
that's something kind of different though.
There's been people who've been widowers and like you 90, your wife died at 85, and like the kids ain't like then like so. I don't think just like that dying alone necessarily just happens to people who never got married.
True. I mean, but if 2 people married, somebody got to go first, and somebody gonna be left last. I mean, that's just the nature of it. And I even
like we're gonna have like kids and extended family.
Right. And one
there's a lot of people who aren't married that have kids and got a great relationship with their kids who's not gonna let them die alone. You ain't gotta get
I'm
married.
true, man, but there's another scenario where I mean, I don't be want to tell too much of my extended family business, but one of my family members passed, and he went in the bathroom. The wife heard something. I don't know exactly what, but something happened to him. He had a heart attack or something. He fell down. She heard it. She landed in the bed. She heard it. So when you say, like, you're a widow or whatnot, I mean, it does make a difference to have somebody right there with you all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I get what you're saying. It's all kind of scenarios. One person can die first and you wind up by yourself. I get it. But, at least having somebody
but like,
with you.
I've been on the one, like, but like on the opposite, like when like one person died, like there might be somebody there for that person, but then who's there for the person that is up dying second? A lot of times they end up dying alone.
I imagine it's the kid, extended family, or inside like a home or something like that.
Don't have a good relationship with their kids.
But nothing's guaranteed.
That's outside the extra variables. Though.
Yeah, I'm about to say like you're painting like a very, very specific scenario. Like generally, if we're just speaking about the quality of life, I couldn't imagine wanting to be 75 and could be married with a spouse that didn't die and just be out here living life in the world at 75 by my damn self, watching reruns of fucking I don't know, the 2025 finals.
That sounds terrible. But
You said what?
But like having kids could help you, like not necessarily just getting married.
But
Just
kids
having
aren't companions, though. Companionship is part of it too. So.
And if I
Johnny,
could
don't
jump
worry
in,
about it. By the time you're 75, you know they got them dolls out here now that you can buy for about $5,000-$10,000, be your mate, and you ain't got to worry about arguing. You got to pay. Once you pay that $10,000, that's all you got to pay. All you got to pay, Johnny. Don't worry about them. 75 years old, no matter, you know what. You have coal out the way anyway.
I'm not even against companionship. I came on here and said I'm for partnership, but like we talking about just getting married, and I don't see how that.
But I wanna bring up this angle. I want Johnny to tell me.
I'm not anti-marriage, but like marriage just don't stop you from dying alone.
Okay, Johnny,
I understand what you're saying.
But it does help the percentage of you enjoying your adult life, I imagine. When you get over the hill and actually having a companion and heighten the rate of which you probably might not die alone.
Thanks.
You can easily still die, like you could die alone in a car accident while you're driving by yourself and you die. But we're talking about like percentage wise if you're married. You said what?
Johnny, do you think that Donald Trump would have been president if he didn't have Melania on his side? Do you think that Donald Trump would?
I don't think it mattered who was on his side because he's had 3 different wives. I don't think it was Melania, Ivania, whoever the other one was.
Nah, bro, that guy, bro, like he had like rape allegations, corruption allegations, same as Didi, bro. The reason Didi is in jail, because he doesn't have a wife. Had he had a wife, I doubt, bro, they would have treated him like this.
We have had a president here in the United States that didn't have no wife. We have had one now, so it's not impossible to become president.
Yeah, no, but I get his angle. What he's saying is that
like Woodrow Wilson or one of them. I forgot which one it was, but he was it was one of them. He ain't had no wife. It was either Taft or Wilson, I believe.
Yeah, but I think
what a certain level of success that you can't reach.
What Kamu's saying is that generally speaking, when you think about, let's say 2016, and even everything that he had to do with the trials and stuff like that, like he had the whole grab him by the pussy thing. He had, the Stormy Daniels little rape trial, XYZ. If he's just a bachelor outside, it hits a little differently in a public eye comparison to when you have a wife and it's like, at worst, this is a reformed, tamed man now, right? Like even like we said earlier, like the wife elicits its own different version of a status symbol. To an extent, once you get to like moving inside certain spaces, if he's just like being a bachelor still, and it's like he was probably still is grabbing him by the pussy.
No,
he's still out here.
But he was married to Melania when he said grab him by the pussy. He was married to Melania when he said that. That was his wife. He had a wife. He was grabbing somebody else's pussy. He had a wife pussy at the house.
But that's why he survived it.
But I think you're speaking about
you know what I'm saying? Like to get to a certain level, you have to have that. You're not going to be perceived as being a stable person to conduct a certain level of business. That's an kind of business. Like you have to have that. It is a status symbol, but it's also just a level of you're doing business with a person. Can you run a household before I let you give you the keys to a company? It's a piece of a puzzle for a man of a certain echelon. It is kind of a class. It's a class thing too.
I've actually heard somebody say that.
There are no bachelor CEOs. There are no bachelor CEOs.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nobody was.
There's nothing wrong at all with not wanting to be.
Yeah, nobody would make the extreme of saying that there's no bachelor CEOs. But I will say that I've heard CEOs speak about them asking people, even in interviews, about their wife to see if they're married. Right. And then like that conversation leads them into like whether they look at them favorably or not. Like it just ends up being like when we was talking about vetting earlier, sometimes that girl that wear them lashes, she might be the most fire one out the pick. But if we're vetting, sometimes you might miss that fire one because a good majority of the ones with them lashes you got to hit the X button though. And that's the tough part about like vetting. And if you know, like sometimes you're gonna miss a good one to avoid the majority of crazy. And I imagine that's what they do. Ron Dwan, I think you were saying something.
Yeah, I was just going back to speaking to the perception of it, right? And it's not right, but sometimes things in life ain't right. They just are what they are. But you're just perceived as a different type of person with that, a different type of stability, a different type of maturity, and that translates in business. There's certain levels of business, regardless of whatever kind of business that you're in, that you just can't break through if you're looked at as the bachelor out there, or you're still, you're unsettled. You know what I mean? The higher you get, the more conservative people are, and to build that trust, you have to kind of be trustworthy, and it's perceived as being part of a trustworthy thing. And what I was going to with the class thing is, I do see a divide as far as the class and the perception of it, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the biggest thing in all of this is it's definitely not for everybody anymore. You know what I'm saying? I think you have to be using it as a vehicle, and you have to have a certain vision to where that fits what you want to do. If you're not a person that is committed to the things that makes it work, it's not really for you. It's a lot of people that don't understand. It's not what you get out of it or what's beneficial. It's a given thing. It's a whole different. It's a different world that you can't explain to somebody that's really not in it and not walking it for that. And there's nothing wrong with wanting something different and wanting something else, but it's kind of a piece to a bigger puzzle that you're working on in life, that you really can't climb certain stairs without that step.
That's what Obo was talking about earlier about his having the kids and his wife being reflected in his kids. And no disrespect to Unc, but early I wanted to say this earlier, but we got sidetracked. Unc's initial talk words was a lot of eyes versus what's my other guy? He was saying like, we building a family, the community. So like with marriage, if you just look at it as, well, what do I get out of it? Now, if that's your view of it, then I can see why it's real easy to say, okay, well, I don't get much, right? But like for me, married 10 years with 2 kids, it ain't even just me. It's like this whole like this is my small little clan, that I invest in, that me and my wife, we like partner up and figure out, okay, what's the best scenario to tackle X, Y, and Z with the kids, or you want to go out there and have these experiences and make sure your kids experience, whatever you want them to see in life, and so it's bigger than you, and you are giving. I'm being transparent. You are giving a lot of yourself, and many times more than you're getting back. But that's really, I think that really goes into, if you find the right woman, you be willing to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of times guys hadn't really found the right one. Because if you find the right one, you'll be down with a lot. You think you won't want to get married, but one of you, like, I can't let her get away. I cannot let her get away. You see her, you just envision her like she just got the white dress on, and you saying I do when you find the right one. And so I think that's just the biggest thing, man. When you find the right one, man, a whole lot of I won'ts turn into all right. We can work it out. So,
Kamu, did he convince you to not feel like you being forced?
No, bro. I know I'm getting forced. I'm gonna do it anyway. I know. Yeah. No. I'm definitely down for it, bro. I'm gonna do it. Just that I have my own rebuttals. And
all right, so but you do feel like it's worth it though, at least, right? For the woman.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I know for both of us, And,
okay. All right. There we go.
Hey, Kamu, are you being forced to get married in general, or you're being forced to be married a specific woman?
No, in general.
Okay, gotcha. And one more thing, if I could say it, because we was talking about growing old and being like 75 years old and single with no kids. I'm gonna be straight up with y'all, man. I got a great uncle, my grandma's brother. My grandma got married, had a bunch of kids, and then they had a bunch of grandkids, which I'm the grandkids, right? Whole clans, and I swear to God, every time we had the big Thanksgivings, the big Christmas, open up the Christmas gifts, Easter, any big family gathering, my great uncle was there. It kind of, and once I got older, I started seeing how that was he was soaking it in via his sister because he didn't have it. So he was chatting it up with his nephews, chatting it up with the grandkids. He was kind of getting his fix because he didn't have it, you know. So I mean, you know, you only got one life to live, man, and people might think it's cool now, but boy, when you 75, 70 years old by yourself sitting in the house, yeah, I don't know, man.
You don't got them little versions of you walking around looking like, yeah, that's crazy.
Bro, it's not nice. It's not nice.
So yeah. So I'm
I think he was about to hop back in.
No, I was just saying, you know, like it's not all about like just everything about me. I was just wondering. That was just a simple question. What did it make to you? You know what I'm saying? How did it affect you guys? And how did you know what I'm saying? What was the difference with it? And I understand all of you. You know, y'all love it, and it's something that you love and you have a passion for. It's not nothing that you know what I'm saying. And I don't see nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But everything isn't for everyone. And just because it's good for you, don't mean it's gonna be good for me. And it doesn't mean that I don't love who I'm with because I didn't put paperwork on them or anything like that. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't take a bullet for them because I didn't put paperwork on them. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Because listen, I'm gonna tell you this: we have properties together. So how can I not love this person and I go this far to do it, but I don't? You know what I'm saying? And that's about and I know what I was saying earlier because it's all putting everything into perspective. Like, be honest, now you think about it, listening to you guys and things. I'm already putting paperwork together. So with me using that as an example, I just made an ass out of myself by saying that once I put it in perspective and thought about it. It's basically, if you're going to do that, you already putting everything in there anyway. So, but I just don't see a need to. I don't see a need to do it if you don't have to. If you don't have to, and I don't see where it's gonna make me love someone more because I say it to somebody I do. I can see what y'all saying about all the legal things, as far as like, you know, deaths and all stuff like that. But I don't know.
Hey, Unc,
if I'm not getting questions,
I got you, Kamu. I think Kamu got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, in your situation, how are you going to legitimize? I get the point that you don't want to take the legal route. You know, for us, I can just go to her family with my uncles, and it's a done deal. We don't have to go the legal route. We can legitimize our own customary marriages. For you, I'm not sure if you particularly have that sort of cultural based ways of legitimizing. No. How are you going to you know to legitimize your thing?
Legitimize it through whom? Who am I legitimizing it through?
So I think what he's asking, if I was to try and reframe it again, he's saying that with him, that like they the way that they legitimize it and they can like split their assets and make sure everything is done properly is do the whole little dowry system where he pays for it. If he doesn't want to actually go through the legal way, that is also an option. In America, what is the other option besides for going through the legal system that you can legitimize a marriage? That's pretty much what he's asking.
After you, what is it called? A common law marriage?
I thought that was just 7. If you're together 7 years, it just that's a threshold, and you become common law.
I'm saying after that. Yes, I'm saying after that, then you're common law marriage.
So if I could ask this question from a different angle, you know, you got two phases. You got 2 phases. You say, hey, for lack of better words, will you be my girl, right? And we'll date exclusively. That's one phase. And then the other option, as it stands right now, is will you marry me, right? So I guess, and I think like there's nothing in between. That's, you know, where it's like, okay, well, we together for forever, and I'm committing myself to you, but I don't. There's no established norm in America of committing yourself to each other outside of marriage. You know what I mean? Like, and I guess like I guess maybe that was kind of what he was asking. Like, how do you? Oh, matter of fact, I asked you. Like, did you and your girl have some kind of? I ain't gonna say vows, but just say, hey, look, some kind of conversation of like, hey, look,
Yeah,
we ain't getting married, but we down, we whatever, something like that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
because what I'm saying, I wouldn't have all that we have together if the things that we have if we didn't have them conversations. You know,
gotcha.
it's
But
it's just
your
that
family,
we were going to get married. We were going to get married some years back. You know, but after a while, it was just like what I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe one day I might, but I don't. I just don't see if unless what I'm saying something. She's not pressing on it, and I'm not pressing on it. You
Mm,
know,
look,
and that's the whole
you know,
thing is, and she's not pressing on it.
really bad things happen to people who don't legitimize. I'm talking now in our context, people who don't legitimize, especially their wives. Predominantly men tend to die first. And if you had spent time with someone that you did not introduce to your family or that you legally married, when you die, bad things happen. Your family comes for them. Your family doesn't see them as your spouse. Your family is fighting for your assets, and it becomes a mess, bro. You know what I mean? So, for the safety of someone that you claim to love, I think it's only fair that you do right by them because your family is gonna come at them, bro. So and saying, I said I like the fact that we're having these conversations now. No emotions attached because now saying that I don't care what happens because I'm dead. It's like there's no need to say that. You know what I mean? Because we're here now and we're discussing this, and it's an eventuality that's going to be faced by someone you claim to love. You know what I mean? So if you love them so much, it's only fair for both of you guys to put each other at a better pedestal to say, well, if indeed that day comes when I'm not there, my love, I know that you are protected from my family. You know what I mean? Yeah.
All right, fellas.
I don't know. I'm
We
sorry.
so I'm gonna just throw it to everybody to be able to kind of make a closing statement. We've hit that 3 hour mark. Shout out to the chat. We got it's a few of y'all in here. Between the channels, and make sure y'all leave y'all comments inside the live chat, but as well make sure that you leave your comments inside the actual chat, not the chat, the comment section as well. Just give us a POV of what you took away or your thoughts on if this modern version of marriage is actually worth it. Do you agree with Unc? Do you agree with Quincy? Maybe Camus or Johnny? You might be a part of the new warrior class as well. But saying all that to say, I want to allow everybody, like a quick little 2-minute monologue to get your last little shit off. When it comes down to your closing thoughts on just the general topic, we probably gonna have to do like a part 2 of this, just because of I got a list of questions that we didn't get into because we kind of spun into a couple different tangents. But Camus, we'll kind of just run down the line. I'll start with you. You can give your closing thoughts on the whole marriage value conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, the biggest thing is legitimacy. Um, Yo, guys, we gotta accept that this world works with legitimacy, bro. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so if I claim to love my wife or my girlfriend, it's only fair for me to make them legitimate in the eyes of my family, in the eyes of my community, and well, probably in the eyes of the country or the world. So leaving them in a position where their legitimacy is going to be questioned kind of points back to me, the kind of person I was, and my selfishness. And knowing that predominantly men tend to leave this world before women, it's only fair for me to do right by someone that I claim to love. So, in as far as the union is concerned, the institution of marriage in and of itself is the best and an uncontested way of legitimizing someone you claim to love.
Got it.
Okay.
All right. That's a positive view. Johnny, talk to us, brother.
Oh yeah, nah, and I want to come on here and say I'm not anti-marriage. Had a little pushback on some of the shit, but
Hmm.
again, like I say, I'm ultimately I come from a two-parent household. I see the benefits of what it has, but I also see the benefits of doing it with the right person and the dangers of doing it with the wrong person. So I think, yeah, we'll take that step, make sure it's with the right person, and that's one of the biggest things. I think that can happen because I've seen how it plays out on multiple sides, where it's marriages that don't work out, marriages that do work out, but ultimately, if it's the right person, the paperwork stuff, all that stuff will work itself out. There's love between two people, the family is gonna be there. So yeah, just make sure we finding the right people, and I think that's the most important
All right. Unc, talk to us.
Uh, I just, I'm saying where it's that big of a thing, except for everything y'all saying for us, and like when you die and things of that nature. If anyone wants to get married, hats off to you. Get married, do your thing. It was just something when I was younger. I really was more bigger into, and as I got older, what I'm saying, I can see where it was like, you know. But I can understand that if you know all the things, like if something happened to you, your family might come back and take things, or they can't come and be, what I'm saying, they can't be there if you're dying, and it's several things that it makes sense to me. But at the same point, I just, I feel like if you love someone, you shouldn't have to put paperwork on them to love them. And I'm not worrying about no community saying what they have to say about me, because I don't love that community. I love that woman, and I love my family. And I feel like if we can make a family together, and the two of us can love each other without having to go by the rules of anybody else, our love should outstand everybody else's, because I didn't have to come in and have to have a big old wedding and have everybody and sit in front of everybody and tell them I love you. My love should be shown. People should know I love you from the things, my actions, not by me inviting people to come eat a big piece of cake. That's just how I feel. And if she's
one.
not
Amen,
pressing it
brother.
and I'm not pressing it, we love each other. And that's my thing. As long as we love each other and we have nothing to prove to anybody else.
Gotcha. All right, Quincy, you could land a plane with us. Talk to us.
Gotcha. Like I said, like marriage ain't for everybody. Nothing's guaranteed. But for those who do want to get married, marriage is what you make it. Marriage is work. Capital IS. It is work. But if you choose right, then you will want to do the work. Um, Choosing right don't mean it's gonna be easy. It don't mean y'all never gonna argue. It just means that you're dedicated to making it work, because you all are gonna grow. Lord willing, you're gonna grow. You're gonna grow old together. And how you feel in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, it's gonna change. And you all got to just be dedicated to stick with each other and work with each other throughout that change. And I think, and I've only been married for 10 years, and in the little 10 years I've had, like, that's what I've seen is about, who I am. I'm 42. Who I was I got married at 33. I'm sorry, well, 10 years. Oh,
30.
32. I'm sorry, I got 32. Getting mixed up. Who I was at 32, I wasn't. That's not who I am now. I've changed a good little bit, and me and my wife have had to work that out. But we're dedicated to work it out, regardless of what changes she has, what changes I make. I mean, having kids, that's a whole nother set of changes. But like I said, it's all about, just being dedicated to just make it work. And granted, I guess to Unc's point, hey, you could make it work and be that dedicated, outside of marriage, to each his own. But just for me, You know, for me, that level of dedication, I want to do that within a marriage. You know, once I get married, all bets off. You got me. You know, there's no limits in what I do for my wife and for my family, and that's something that I only want to do for a wife, my wife. You know, so that's all I got for you.
Gotcha. All right, sounds good. So yeah, again, what was the title of it? Was the red pill wrong? Has marriage lost its value? We've been able to actually have like some very constructive conversations, some really good pushback, some good middle grounds inside a lot of the conversations. Like I said, probably do a part 2 possibly next week, where some of the rest of the panel will be able to join in. But I think that especially with this panel, we was able to get a good diversity of opinions. You know, like we like to joke on Johnny, but Johnny is the one that's still outside. He's touching grass when it comes down to what the current dating market looks like. You know, I'm married just a year. We have I think Ron Dwan, he said he's 19 years in. You have 10 years with Quincy. A Black, he called in for a little bit, but he was with his fiance that he just proposed to. Camus, he said, did you pop the question? You thinking about it? We just know you getting forced.
What did they make?
Yeah, no, I haven't popped the question, but you know.
Okay. All right, so then we got a guy that he's looking at the landscape of it, and he's about to make that decision. And then we have Unc, in which like he has been with the same person and has a kid with this person, and as he said, got contracts. He has properties. That's what I meant to say. He has properties with this person, and like that arrangement works well for him as well. Where there's, like I said, a good space to kind of like land and continue on next week, where we found some middle ground, some disagreements, but again, like I said, a fairly productive conversation. Saying all that to say that this has been unpacked by the To Be Fair show and G-ish podcast. Like I said, he's up in DC stomping on Drake's grave with Kendrick Lamar. But this has been Kamu, Q, Johnny, Unc, Quincy. Shout out to Ron Dwan that called in. Shout out to Chukwe who called in. Kofi that called in. Am I missing anybody, fellas? I think that was it, right? Say it again.
That was Black.
Oh yeah, A Black. Shout out A Black. Got wifey in the States. With that said, this has been a really good episode. And like that, we out. Peace.